Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
What is up? It is a Tuesday, kind of chilly August morning.
Football weather, baby!
It is football weather. You're wearing the Avon Lake sweatshirt, Jason.
First game tonight.
Your son has his first game of his
game or
season.
scrimmage?
Game. First game.
On a Tuesday?
Well, it's 8th grade.
Oh, okay.
It's 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. Starting at right guard, wearing Wyatt's number 77.
Okay.
Wyatt Teller 77.
Be physical. He should think violent thoughts.
He's
all day.
fast. He's like fast and playing guard.
Good.
So,
he's pulling a lot. Then.
He's
going to be a pulling guard.
A lot of pulling tonight.
Did you expect when AJ started to play football? Because
No.
you guys have seen AJ. He's giant. He's probably 6'1", 6'2" already. That he'd be playing guard when he started playing football?
No, I thought he was going to be a tight end terrorizing kids going over the middle. That's what I thought he would be. And then he came home after the first day and goes, Dad, I think I need to go back to the line. I couldn't catch anything. I said, all right, buddy, go back. He really wants to play defensive end. That's what he really
I
wants.
bet. That's a money
He's got the
maker.
size and the speed, the athleticism.
Yeah.
If he's fast like that, he could definitely be really good. He got to get a nice jump off the ball like Miles do, and he'll just run right past them tackles.
And I was saying before the show, shout out to Max Riley, the kid from Avon Lake, a junior top left tackle in the country, really. And he's been working with my son. He's been working with AJ this summer on footwork, hand technique. Max is a great kid. He's being recruited by every top college in the country, Ohio State, Clemson, Michigan. They all want him. And he's a great kid, and it's been a lot of fun watching him work with AJ on footwork, hand technique, how to shed blocks, how to grab guys. So it's been great. So
Speaking of local talent, if my memory serves correct, I'm looking this up right now. There's some 5-star high school prospects in the 2025 football class from like the greater Cleveland area right now.
Oh, sure.
Like some legit. But I saw it had been a while since there had been legit like consensus 5-stars.
Yeah.
Where's Bellefontaine?
That's Tavian St. Clair. That's down by us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Columbus.
That's like 45 minutes from Columbus.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm pulling up the 247. Trey McNutt.
That's the safety from Shaker. He's going to Oregon.
Shaker, he's going to Oregon. Consensus 5-star, the number 23 overall player in the country. Number 1 safety in the country, taken after our guy Tyvis. You mentioned St. Clair, the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone else I saw. Marquise Davis from Cleveland Heights.
That's the running back.
Running back going to Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's a 4-star, 5-star on
I wonder if he's
3+.
playing running back.
Max should be on there. Max should be on that list.
Well, he's a 26. You said a junior.
Oh, he's a junior. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
And 26. His name's Max.
Max Riley.
Let's see. He is the.
I can't believe it's football already.
I don't know what you can't believe.
I was telling Anthony, I couldn't find my sweatshirt this morning. Like, it's not sweatshirt weather.
I got to go back to Bedford and get me a hoodie, man.
Yeah.
I do need to go back.
Maxwell Riley.
Yeah, that's him.
The number 1 rated player in the state of Ohio.
I told you
in the
he's
class
legit.
of 26, 37th overall.
Yeah.
6th best left tackle in the country.
Yeah.
And he is a crystal ball for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
He's always loved Ohio
Go
State.
Bucks.
But yeah,
We need him because right now we missing on some some tackles. We could not get a 5-star. It's like past 2 years we ain't got like a 5-star.
Well, you spent the whole bag on this year's roster. I mean, how much more is there to go?
What you mean? That's future stuff. Like we talking about next year, like the kids from next class. Like yeah, we got to do something about that.
Go get Max to set you straight. He's a good kid.
Well, we need him to come on through. I'll be hollering at him soon, I'm sure.
Couple housekeeping notes to get to before we dive into today's show. Got a big show. We're going to talk some Deshaun Watson, some Siaki Ika, some D'Onta Foreman, some Cavs 2K ratings. We got Bernie Kosar who's going to join us in studio.
Some more JT Thor. We're going to talk
about
Guardians
JT Thor. And Yankees. JT Thor is our #1 clip from yesterday. You guys laughed at it, but I told y'all the people wanted the Cavs to make a signing, and the Cavs made a signing, and Bull straight up poo-pooed it, and Jason said, I can't believe we're talking about it. But I know what y'all want.
The only thing we know about JT Thor is last year on 2K, his base was like a cheat code. When you was creating your jumper, if you used that base, that JT Thor base, cash.
Jason, you're in tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'm in like all week.
Oh, I get to piss off 2 panel members with my Cavs topic tomorrow.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Is Amani Bates going to be an all-star next year?
No.
Discuss.
Couple of housekeeping notes, though. First and foremost, the Jay versus Tyvis hitting challenge that we shot on Friday is like 90% edited. I just have to kind of tweak the audio, but other than that, it is set in stone. The majority of the dirty work of editing a 3-camera, 3-microphone shoot is in the past. Just has to be tweaked in an audio version. The issue is Jay Crawford's on vacation this week. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we can't debut this unless Jay comes in on a day you're here.
It's no coincidence that Jay decided to take a vacation this week.
Do you do any shows with Jay? In the summer?
No, but Jay said he would come in a day to air
Okay.
when Tyvis is here. So
That's funny.
It's going to air sometime next week.
That's funny.
It's done. We may release it to members. It's going to get released to members no matter what, a day early. We may do it a little earlier because Jay decided to take vacation this week. And when he works upstairs, he has like 13 weeks of vacation each year. This is like week 7. I think he's going to take 6 more throughout the football season. That's the benefit of being Jay Crawford, and he's earned and worked for the right to have that vacation. So the video is almost done being edited. It will air when Jay's back. Second piece of housekeeping. We mentioned this on Overtime yesterday, and we want to give everyone the opportunity to have the opportunity we're referring to. Our fantasy football league, the UCSS Fantasy Football League, where, Tyvis, you are the reigning football champion.
Yes, sir. I'm going for back-to-back champs this year.
We have a 12-team league and 10 spots filled. We need 2 more spots. And the way we decided to fill those last 2 spots this season was to let members have a chance to join this league. You have to be a paid Coaches Tier member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show to have a chance to submit your application. On the members-only community tab on our YouTube page, there are all the instructions on how to apply and how to submit your application. You essentially just leave us a comment saying why you believe you're the best fit for the UCSS Fantasy League. We are going to blur out the names and pick our favorite comments, not randomly, but without any bias. It'll be a nameless situation. So we'll pick the favorite comments, and the 2 winners of those comments will then get a chance to be part of the UCSS Fantasy League, which drafts next Tuesday, September 3rd. Or maybe it's Wednesday, but whatever September 3rd is, that is the day of the draft.
Tuesday, because I'm
That's
up
the day of
here.
the draft. So Tuesday, September 3rd. So if you want to submit your application to be part of the UCSS Fantasy League, become a member, go to the YouTube page on the community tab, members only, and you can put your application. You can go any route you want. You can be funny. You can make fun of us. You can give us your resume in fantasy football. Whatever you want, we will read it, and we will vote on our 2 favorites to join the UCSS Fantasy League. Tyvis, any advice for people who want to nominate themselves?
Yeah, make a joke about yourself. That's usually, if you can get us to laugh, you'll get more people to vote for you. That's my advice.
Jason?
I don't care.
That was the most predictable answer in the history of UCSS.
He's mad. Jason's still mad because 2 years ago he had a shot to win the thing and he blew it. What happened? Didn't you and Bull had the DeMar Hamlin game? That's what happened.
Yes, I don't remember now. I don't care. I just didn't want to finish last. I don't care.
What if you do? We Nothing happened.
Yeah,
to
we didn't do
Anthony.
the- we
Well,
didn't do the comedy.
It's because Leroy.
First of all, I wasn't last.
Oh, I
last.
forgot. That's
Leroy
right.
was last.
That's right.
So
Is
I
he,
still have yet to been dead last.
We
is
have-
Leroy in it this
No,
year?
we have eliminated people who are not here to actually pay up on said punishment. And the last housekeeping note before we jump into the show, shout out to Miss Nuggets for running a half marathon this weekend, finishing sub 2 hours, which she had never done before. It's an incredible time. She finished 6th in her age group,
You know, I saw you.
age class, and that's hell of an accomplishment. So very proud of you, Miss Nuggets.
I saw you tweet that, and I was running the numbers. That's like less than 10 minutes a mile.
Less than 9 minutes a mile.
That's insane.
I could never.
You want to hear something funny?
I'd call an Uber.
You
I
want to hear
would
something-
too.
You want something funny? She did not try to do that. She was following the wrong pacing group.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't realize till the 11th mile, and she was like, well, screw it.
Gotta
I
go
already
now.
ran this much, my legs can't
Yeah.
stop
So
now. So,
That's the fastest she's ever done.
yeah.
See, that tells you
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah, so you got to.
Yeah.
I mean, when I ran my 4-miler, I kept looking at that pacer, and they be having the signs up like I run this time, and I'm just like, okay, if I can hang with you, I ain't got to be right next to you, but if I can just see
there.
you, like if I can see you, that's a good time for me. And I actually ran faster than I ever ran when I did that.
I ran one 10K in my life, finished it, no problem.
You're crazy.
And then I ran a 5K and puked.
That doesn't even
did.
make sense.
It was after a night out,
Oh well,
yeah,
that's what
that's-
you get.
that-
That's what you get.
and then I got
What
up
you expect?
and I ran with my brother. It's when my brother and I, he was trying to get me into running, and we ran a 10K. That was 6-something miles.
You was
6.2
into
miles.
running?
6'3", right?
6'2".
Yeah.
You was in the running?
I
Are
tried.
you in the running?
During COVID, I got into it. I hate it. She wants me to run a half marathon with her. I don't think you could pay me enough to run a half marathon, but I'm good at it. That's the issue.
My wife did a half.
You good at
marathon.
running?
Yeah, I ran 5 yesterday with 6:30 pace because I'm a stupid psycho. That doesn't make sense. But I hate every second of it.
Yeah,
I hate every second of it.
Alessia did the half marathon in D.C., right? Were we in D.C.? It was like some military half or something. It was really cool. But
If you like running, good for you. I personally, I hate it.
the only reason to run is if a bear's chasing you or the cops are chasing you.
Do you know why I run fast?
Well,
Because I want to be done.
I just want to get it over with.
I'd rather just run fast, sprint it out, and be done with it.
No.
But, we got a lot to get into on today's show. And Ant, we're going to start with Deshaun Watson and whether or not he should play against Seattle after a word from FanDuel.
Yeah, you guys have all heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something different for you now. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial for Sunday NFL Ticket for YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season game afternoon out of market. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit fanduel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook.
So the Cleveland Browns take on the Seattle Seahawks in their final preseason game this Saturday. It is a 10:30 East Coast kickoff. Way too late for a preseason game.
10:30.
by
I
the
thought
way.
it was 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, whatever. It's too late. No matter how you slice
listen,
and dice it. It's way
that's
too
30
late.
more minutes.
I got to do a post-game show, so I'm right there with
Oh,
you.
really?
I got to do a post-game show. So I would be,
Yes! I'm not alone.
Postgame show?
no, I'm
Not
doing it
alone.
for Bleacher Report.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
I'm with you, Ty. You ain't alone on this one. But we talked yesterday at nausea about the left tackle situation for the Browns. Injuries galore. Question marks between Conklin and Jed Wills. One thing we didn't talk about yesterday, and the Browns did sign Chim Okafor, who is a placeholder. He was brought in earlier in camp, then cut again. One thing we didn't get into is with the uncertainty at that left tackle, and to the same lesser extent, but similar vein, right tackle, the tackle positions. Do you feel comfortable playing Deshaun Watson against Seattle? Now, Deshaun said he wasn't aware he was going to play against Seattle. Kevin Stefanski had said earlier in the week the plan was for Deshaun to play against Seattle. So now that there's the uncertainty at that left tackle spot, the Browns have allowed the highest pressure rate in the NFL through 2 preseason weeks. So it's been an issue regardless who's there. Would you feel comfortable putting Deshaun out there against Seattle, Tyvis, in a game-like situation, not really knowing what you're going to get from the left tackle position?
Would I feel comfortable with it? No,
Yeah.
but I will be doing. I would do it.
So you would still do it?
Yeah, I'd still do it. I mean, listen, he's got to get out there and get those games. The game plan. It's not like we asking him to come out there, go 5 wide and sling the ball around. No, this is going to be quick games. I just want you to do some drops, throw a couple slants, throw a dig, maybe hand the ball off and go get people in and out the huddle, make some checks and adjustments, maybe. That's it. That's all I want to see. I'm not asking to go out there and throw for 300 yards against Seattle. That's not the case. I just need him to get back into football, get back into the groove. I don't want to wait till week 1 where he's going back on the field, making calls, dealing with crowd noise, all of those things. So, yeah, I would have him out there. Maybe I won't play him for a full half. Maybe I'll play him for a quarter. Maybe that's what the case may be. But he 1,000% is going out there.
Jason, would you play him as well?
Everything he said. Next. No, I'm serious. Like, you're 100% right. Now, if God forbid he gets hurt, everyone's going to scream, "Oh my God, I can't believe they played him in a preseason game. How could you play him in a game that didn't mean anything?" Because that's how I felt about Denzel when Denzel got the concussion against Kansas City. This is a completely different situation. This guy hasn't thrown a pass in, 10 months?
Since November.
Massive injury that he's coming off that really there's no track record of what quarterbacks look like on the other side of this. Yes, there's a risk in playing him, but there's always a risk in playing guys. Look at the quarterbacks around the league that are playing in the preseason. So you're not asking him to play a full game. And Tyvis, you're right. It's going to be short and quick. Get it and get it out. First read, go. You're not going to be standing back there trying to make something happen, moving around in the pocket, you put it on a quarter. I'd put it on probably, I don't know, 2-3 possessions.
Yeah.
No matter how long that takes. Yeah. Yeah. But if it bleeds into the second quarter, whatever. But, do it more by possessions. There's certain things you want to see out of him, certain looks you want him to have. I think it's more dangerous to go into the Dallas game without him having any live reps at all. Yes, the line is a concern, but at some point you can't live in your fears. And the line very well may be a concern against Dallas as well. So let's just get it out of the way and rip the Band-Aid off and get a look at this thing.
I'll be the contrarian later in this discussion for the sake of not all three of us agreeing.
Yeah.
But to start this, I 100% agree. I think, setting him out against Dallas without any real legitimate game reps since the Baltimore game is essentially a suicide mission because there's no guarantee the offensive line is going to be up to par when Micah Parsons comes to town because Jed Will still hasn't practiced, Jack Conklin still hasn't practiced, and heck, even if James Hudson's back and healthy, how confident do you feel in James Hudson being the blindside protector for Deshaun Watson in his first game back against arguably the second best defensive end in all of football? Tyvis, he nailed it on the head here. We're not asking, and the Browns should not ask Deshaun Watson to turn his back on a deep play action shot or take a 7-step drop or do anything that's going to put him in a disadvantageous situation to where he's in the pocket long enough to get hit from the blind side or to have interior pressure come and collapse him and make him run outside the pocket and put him in an aversion to take a big hit. If his first read's not there, just throw it away.
Yeah.
Just throw it away. Live to see another day. It is not worth taking a big hit, and I think the Browns can do strategic things. Slide the protection to the left. Put a tight end or a running back outside to chip. If you're going to roll out away from the left side to buy Deshaun some more time. And I would hope that Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey and Tommy Rees and this offensive staff come into this Seattle game with a divisive, game plan to not put him in any situations where the risk outweighs whatever reward of shaking off a little bit of that game rust is.
And another thing that I've been liking, Kevin has allowed other people to call plays in this preseason. It might get to a point in the situation where maybe Ken Dorsey specializes in something and Deshaun needs to know what that's like. All his career since he's been with the Browns, it's been him and Kevin. Now it's time. Maybe Ken Dorsey takes over and says something to him on the play. He needs to understand, all right, I know that voice. I know what he's saying. Let me get it out. And I just think they need to be put in different situations. He needs to go through 3rd and long. He needs to go through 2nd and short and stuff like that. I just think that you can rep it all you want in practice. It's different. It's different being
Games
in
are
the
different.
game. Then
Yeah.
on top of that, you go into Seattle. I'm not saying Seattle's going to sell out, but I've been there. Those fans is loud and proud. I mean, they take that 12th man thing very seriously. And if it gets loud, he needs that.
The communication reps.
Yeah, he
almost
needs
applies
all
to
of those
physical.
things. So, and then you got new receivers. You need to see what Judy's like. And on top of all that, you've been resting 38 players a game. All of them, not just Deshaun, all of them need to be out there. Dallas is 2 weeks away. And y'all ain't nobody taking game reps. Yeah, get them out there. Let everybody go out there and get some game reps because they need to have that feeling. I don't think Seattle's D-line is overwhelming. I don't think it's nothing like. I mean, who they?
They don't have a Parsons or a Brian Burns.
Yeah,
or a
like
Max Crosby or
you. So
Josh Hines
they
Allen.
should be. You should be fine to get through that game. I do think that their secondary is pretty good as far as the corners. I like Woolen. I like Witherspoon. So and I like Kobe Bryant. Shout out to Cleveland, Glenville. I like
He's
those.
a Glenville kid?
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No.
What's wrong with you?
I got here 2 years ago. He was already in college. He went to Cincinnati,
yeah.
right?
See, I played with his brother Christian at Ohio State.
I just didn't know that. No,
yeah.
shout out to Kobe.
Yeah, anyways, I like their secondary, and I want to see our receivers get some real work against other corners. I know they got it against Minnesota, but I'm going to be frank. Minnesota's DBs is terrible. They had to go sign Gilly the Kid because they knew they was that bad at corner this year. Byron Murphy's good, though. I respect Byron Murphy. The rest of y'all, I don't know. But anyways, get some real work, get these receivers some real work, and let him make his passes against some tight coverage. Obviously, you get it in practice, but you want to see it in the game. So it's just, to me, the pros outweighs the cons to me.
Does he need to get hit? Or is that overrated? Obviously, you don't want to get him killed. But
see, when you say get hit, yes, he needs to get hit. Yes.
That's, yeah. Like
but how he gets hit is the question.
Right.
I don't want to see a blindside, back buckling hit.
Right.
Like, okay.
200-pound defensive end.
But he does need to take a pop.
Yeah, he does.
You know, just
but
to know that,
it's
all right.
one of those things. One, if he scrambles, he better get down. It would be the only hit that I could see him like. But see, they're not gonna do it. It's him throwing the ball and the dude like runs into him. But like, don't take him to the ground because you'll get flagged for that. But just throw it and then the dude just run into you. Like that's about what you gonna do. It's what you as most as you want. I don't really want him to get sacked and all of those things because anytime you touch the ground, it's a risk of getting hurt. So I think that somebody just giving him a little push, a little shove after he throws the ball, that's about what he needs for the game.
Did you ever have a major injury?
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean by major?
Broken wrist, but that's
I broke my wrist and I had I pulled my hamstring and I strained my quad and I had
groin.
But nothing that
hernia, sports hernia.
Oh. Nothing that ended one season prematurely
No.
and you had to come back and like
No. The only closest thing I had to that was that sports hernia. That sports hernia was
those are legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I had it in spring ball and I had to go through all the spring. So the first day of practice, I'm running around and we get to about 7:07 period, which is like middle of practice. And the whole right side of my leg just feel like buzzing. Like how you hit your funny bone, that felt like that on my whole leg. And I'm like, I think something wrong. And I go tell my coach, he's like, you're fine, get back in there.
Yeah.
So after it's all said and done, they get me checked. And they was like, well, you got a sports hernia. But the problem is the safeties are so thin right now. You got to finish spring ball because Vaughn ended up tearing his meniscus in spring ball. So we was really thin. So I had to finish spring ball. And I remember when I came back, I was like stiff. I was more stiff going to the right. And that was something that I had to work through. That was the closest thing I had to like a mental thing.
When you look at this offensive tackle situation for the Browns and how it relates to Deshaun Watson, I could already see it now that if Deshaun and this Browns offense doesn't get off to a great start in the first couple weeks of the season, this offensive line is going to be the crush that a lot of people use to say, well, the reason they can't succeed offensively is because this offensive line isn't doing enough to give Deshaun the time he needs and to open up holes for the running backs. Mm-hmm. Is that a far gone stretch? Am I looking too far ahead? Is that going to be something?
Will the offensive line be the first thing that people point at?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's other things as well that I could point to.
My hope is that Deshaun gets back to being the elite quarterback the Browns thought they were trading for when they traded for him from Houston. Do you know why?
You and everybody else.
Obviously, but do you know why? Because elite quarterbacks make up for subpar offensive line play.
Are you talking about Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals?
A couple examples. Joe Burrow took the Bengals to the Super Bowl. That season, their offensive line was a train wreck. Do you know what team led the NFL in offensive line penalties last year?
Led it?
Which offensive line had more penalties than any other team in football? Jason said it was the Kansas City Chiefs. Guess who won the Super Bowl last year? Kansas City Chiefs. When Deshaun Watson in 2020 led the NFL in passing yards, threw 33 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions. Do you know who had the second lowest rated offensive line according to PFF in the entire NFL?
Texans.
The Houston Texans. Elite quarterback play covers up all the other warts on your roster, whether it's subpar receivers or not having a running game or having an offensive line that's not playing to the standard you need it to play to, where other quarterbacks who are of a lesser extent and less talented need that time. These elite quarterbacks cover up those warts and can make a subpar or even an average offensive line look good enough to win at the highest levels. And the Browns need Deshaun Watson back at that level, at that elite level, if the offensive line isn't up to par.
Do you think that's asking a lot for a guy coming off of injury? That you have
Yeah, but that's what you thought.
Too bad.
Yeah, like that's why you traded for Deshaun Watson.
I'm just asking a question.
That's why you traded for Deshaun Watson.
Asking Tanner Bybee to be the ace in his second year, asking Deshaun Watson to play like the player you traded for.
Asking Evan Mobley to
He's
turn
healthy.
into the superstar
Yeah.
you drafted him to be. Like that's what comes with
He
the
ain't hurt no
expectations
more.
of being a star.
He
Yeah.
ain't hurt no more. That was 9 months ago.
I would think that if this team struggles, yes, the offensive line is going to be the first thing that they point at. But the other thing that they're going to point at is the fact that you're essentially switching a whole blocking scheme. I was talking to Quincy about this yesterday. We was talking about how now has the offensive line always been that good, or did Nick CHubb make them that good? That's the question.
Well, we're gonna talk about that with 4 minutes.
Because that's interesting to me. Like, I was sitting there thinking about it. Like, Nick CHubb was fine. Like, when Nick CHubb was back there, it was fine. Like, you didn't say nothing. Even though Nick CHubb made the first guy miss all the time, and it was essentially in the backfield, it was fine because it was Nick CHubb. Once Nick CHubb left,
and it was Jerome Ford.
and it was Jerome or Kareem, it was much more glaring. Till it was like, maybe this offensive line really isn't legit like that. So I had that on my mind. But then I'm thinking, you're changing your whole offensive scheme of what you want to go. You're going more to a spread. Are these guys fit for the spread offense? Like, it's a different blocking scheme. So are these?
We're gonna find out.
This offensive line, the guys that they have? Because I know they were good in Kevin Stefanski's offense and all of those things. Are they good with the spread? Are they still effective? Can they still buy time? Can they still open these gaps? I think it's an interesting question.
Could I ask you a question? Because I don't know the answer to
Shoot
this.
from the hip.
How does, from a guard perspective, an interior offensive line perspective, when you go to more of a spread offense as opposed to the under center, play action, West Coast style that Kevin Stefanski ran, how do your blocking assignments change? And is Wyatt and Bitonio at this advanced stage of their career still obviously talented, but not as quick and agile as they were?
Well, you got to
a
ask
few years
more.
ago?
You got to ask some more of alignment. But to me, when I thought of spread, I always thought it was more zone blocking, to where when it was more downhill, man, you get a guy, boom, move. But I think it's more laterally, like you spread and the whole line is spread.
So you're asking guys to think more?
Yeah, and I think that could be a challenge because it's different than what you're used to. So I'm just interested to see how it works. But you have to ask a true lineman about that.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference? But to me, when I think about it off the top of the head, that's the thing that I think about.
I think this has been, and I could be wrong, I'm trying to go off memory. I think this has been a better run blocking line than a pass blocking line.
Yes.
Not that they were deficient in pass blocking, but I
The
think that
numbers all indicate that.
they're
yeah.
a better run blocking line. You mentioned Wyatt. Wyatt's a mauler as a run blocker, and I think Bitonio has been throughout his career as well.
Isn't DeJuan more of a pass blocker than a run?
Yes, he's more of a pass.
Remember they were
That's so
switching James
interesting
Hudson
to
and
me.
DeJuan
Yeah, that's
last
so
year?
interesting to me that
Yeah.
he, as big as he is,
He should be.
He should be a mauler.
Yeah.
He should be able to take two people
to your
down
point
the
of
field.
the zone scheme, and I'll bring this back to Deshaun in one sec, but to your point of the zone scheme and having to think more as an offensive lineman, I just remember you telling us that Teller was in DeJuan Jones' ear every play last year.
Not as much toward the end of the season, but yes, a lot.
And that was a helping hand.
Wasn't he?
Toward the end of when he was, once he got comfortable. Those first few weeks that DeJuan was in there, it was every play. Wyatt was in his ear telling him where to go.
And it worked because DeJuan was really effective. So, I'm not saying it can't work, but if it's more of a thinking man's run blocking scheme as opposed to heat-seeking missile, you're my guy, I'm blocking you, how does that impact a guy like DeJuan or a guy like Jed Wills when he's back and healthy who
Finish the thought.
may not be his strength. It may not be his strength, that's all I'm saying.
This thing is getting.
That was mean.
It's getting interesting. That's what it is. But the reason that everybody that we even sitting here having this conversation, you know why we having this conversation? Because we ain't seen them play. That's the problem. If we would have been out there and they would have been playing in these preseason games, and maybe we seen a glimpse of what they was going to do, maybe we could have all these things answered. But right now, everybody's mind is just spinning because we don't. It looks bad. It's the 2s, 3s, and you just don't see it in the run game. You see a couple passes, but the receivers that's 2s and 3s ain't really creating no separation outside of Thrash. He doing his thing. And it's just right now, it's very worrisome. Everybody's like, man, I don't know. And it's scary.
So we'll wrap this up on this. We all agreed Deshaun should play on Saturday against the Seahawks. Even without the offensive line stability, you still play him a quarter?
One quarter.
1 quarter. Jason, you said 2-3 series?
3 drives.
I'm right in the same vein. A quarter, 2-3 drives, whatever comes first. But I do think he needs some sort of game repetition, physically and mentally from the communication standpoint, to get him ready to go 100% against Dallas to open up the 2024 season. And let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah, before we get to our next topic, guys, I want to remind everybody that G. Bush might be on vacation relaxing over in the West Coast, but he still does the Ultimate Browns, and it'll be back Monday and next Friday. So if you need any more Browns coverage and you want to see is he doing a 30 minutes after the show or after the game this week, Mike? He is, correct? Even though he's on vacation?
I don't think so.
Oh, my apologies. I had that written down wrong. But
maybe he might be.
Next Monday, he will be back.
So. Yes.
So make sure you subscribe to get notifications anytime G goes live with the Ultimate Brown Show.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, Jason. That is certainly an interesting tidbit. But let's talk about Siaki Ika first, because the early returns on the Browns' 2023 draft pick have not been great. He did not suit up in more than 5 games last year. He was active for 4 games, was essentially relegated to the practice squad. And so far through preseason, Tyvis, it hasn't looked great. What have you seen from Siaki Ika on tape? And is there any hope for the Browns' 2023 fourth-round draft?
So when they got Siaki Ika, they thought he was one of those guys that was essentially – you got to remember when they drafted him. It was the year coming off of the worst defensive tackle run stoppage era. And at that time, they were in the panic mode to find answers to it. And they figured that they would address it in a multitude of ways. We're going to draft Dalvin Tomlinson, who was at that time a really good run stopper, but we're going to get another guy that we want to rotate in there, because you just can't have one guy. You got to have a bunch of guys that you can rotate at that defensive tackle spot to stop the run. And they thought Siaki Ika would be perfect. This is a guy that's big. He's physical. He at worst, even if he just fell down, he would create a pile and clog his lane. And up until today, we haven't really got a chance to see him out there. You know, this is a guy that was carried on the 53, but I don't even remember how many games he was actually active. He was inactive for
active for 4 games last year.
Okay, so he was inactive for majority of the season. And seeing the preseason when he's out there, you don't even really notice him. You know, and you would think a guy that's big, that was that highly thought of, would at least create some TFLs, get some knockbacks or something like that, and you don't see any of that. So the one thing is, will he make the roster? I don't know, because I think that they went very heavy on veterans, re-signing veterans, and I kind of think that they had their mind kind of made up on the guys that they already know. Siaki Ika is one of those guys that, and this is the problem when you're a young guy. This is the question that they're going to ask themselves. If we cut you, can we bring you back on practice squad, or will somebody claim you? And can you sit there and say, if they cut Siaki Ika, somebody else is going to pick him up?
I think someone will pick him up.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Okay.
He hasn't shown me a lot.
He's shown nothing.
Exactly. So, like, why would you? And the thing is, you could be, if he's available, or, okay, if somebody pick him up, are you okay with losing him?
I think that's the question.
Okay.
I do.
Are you okay with losing him is the question as well. But I don't think nobody would pick him up. If they do pick him up, it's just because he's young, and they want more depth there. But outside of that, I think that he can be brought back on practice squad. So I don't think he'll make the initial 53.
I don't think he's making the initial 53.
There's 0% chance he's making the 53.
No,
I'm telling you, there's zero.
Well,
then move on.
I was answering the question.
Well, no, but like Andrew Berry has had a hard time parting ways with his own draft.
He's gotten better.
Early, he's gotten better.
I'm about to
early,
say he
early.
ripped that Band-Aid off like 2 years ago.
But that was a 6th or 7th round pick after 2 years. Even Anthony Schwartz got into his 3rd season. This would be the 2nd season for Siaki.
Who was his first cut? The safety.
I don't remember.
Richie? No.
LeCount.
LeCount. Yeah.
Who was a 6th round pick in his 3rd year. He's never cut bait with somebody in their 2nd year. And I do think Ika is going to end up being the first person who he does say, hey, we tried. We are loaded at this position anyway. Thank you, but best of luck in the future of your career.
If he get cut and nobody claim, they'll bring him back on P Squad.
Yeah. You go first.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I get why they liked him. If you go back and watch the film of the Eagles' defensive line when Schwartz was there, Ika fits the mold, body type, body style-wise, of what the Eagles were running in the interior of the defensive line. But he's shown nothing. So, no, he's not going to make the team. I thought because their linemen are in such demand, I thought that someone may take a look at him. He went to a pretty good school and was highly thought of coming out of college. He's the top 100 pick, 3rd round pick. So it's someone else to say, well, we can figure it out. But if they lose him, I don't think it's a devastating loss. If he's not picked up, I agree with you. I think he's back on practice squad, and you continue to try and get something out of him. But he's shown nothing to this point.
You mentioned that he had the body type that a Jim Schwartz liked in Philadelphia. The difference between what Ika had from a physical and athletic standpoint for some of those other guys was actual athletic ability. And I'm being serious here. You've heard of the relative athletic score they give out to every NFL draft prospect who comes out, right, Tyvis? I'm sure you had one when you came out.
I have no
the
idea.
RAS score.
I never checked it. It should have been perfect.
Siaki Ika's RAS score was a 2.75 out of 10 coming out. Since 1987, the NFL Combine has graded 1,620 defensive tackles on their RAS scale. Siaki Ika's 2.75 came in at 1,376. Seriously, I'm not making that up. It was one of the worst relative athletic testing scores they've ever had.
I mean,
when you're that big, Tyvis, it's one thing to be big, right? And in college, when you're just merely bigger and stronger than everybody, you can get away and create plays just by pure size. But in the NFL, when everyone is at that same caliber, your athletic ability is what differentiates okay from good, good from great, okay from bad. And it appears, and it's still a small sample size. I'm not saying he can never turn it around. He obviously has potential in some sense. But when you know his athletic profile and you watch the tape, and Anthony, I know you showed a play earlier. You can show all those plays I sent. He just doesn't move people whatsoever. And more often than not, he's getting pushed back off the ball. And when you weigh 340 pounds like he does, you can't be a guy that's getting moved off the ball. That's a non-negotiable from that 3-technique position.
I agree with that. I mean, I think he did. I think the Browns have done a lot to try to help him out. You know, they probably came in knowing that maybe he wasn't the most athletic guy. So, okay, this is what we're going to do. We got some of the best pass rushers. We got some good veterans. You know, you spend a year with these guys, they'll help him develop his game. After a year, when you don't see the development, then they said in the offseason, you're just too big. You need to lose some weight. And I think he lost weight this offseason. He spent this whole offseason trying to lose weight, and he came back healthier, which they thought, all right, that would help his movement. If he's lost weight, that means his body be more quick twitch and things like that. He's been with these veterans. He's worked on pass rush moves and stuff. He knows how to be effective. And if you've done all of those things and it's still not there, and you can turn the tape on and still not see it, it's just like, you know, maybe this ain't maybe you need another voice. You know, that maybe that's the best thing for you. Maybe Jim Schwartz and the D-line coach just can't get through to you, so you got to go somewhere else that maybe they can. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. You go somewhere else and you listen to a different coach and they explain it differently, it just clicked for you. So maybe for him, maybe he don't need to make this 53-man roster. Maybe he needs to go somewhere else to see another D-line coach that maybe can resonate something and figure out how he can be effective in the NFL.
When I went back and watched the Minnesota All-22, just to confirm what my eyes said in that initial test, and you always want to give a guy the benefit of the doubt. Like, this is nothing personal against anyone, but You got to let the tape play out. You got to get what your eye test sees and see if it matches.
The tape don't lie.
And it's tough tape, man. Like I said, he gets no push.
Let me see it again.
His leverage, and just play those 3 plays.
Run them clips
you
again.
can play
Let
them
me
all
see
3
it
back
again.
to back to back.
1 second.
If Social News Desk will cooperate, which would be a blessing because we know it never works. Let's see if it works this time. But, like, he's 340 pounds here, Tyvus, going against third-string offensive guards and tackles. He falls to his knees on every third play. That's him, yeah. That's one play. No push. And let's go to the next one. There's more than just these 3 examples. Here he's getting blown back off the line. There he is, 62. Tyvus completely out of running a play right into essentially where his hole is supposed to be. And then there's one more if you want to throw it up at 2. There's another one. These are 3 specific plays. The ones that we're not showing are a lot of the same, Tyvus. It's hard to find a positive right now on tape from Siaki Ika. Doesn't mean he'll never get there. Doesn't mean he'll never be a contributor or a player at an NFL team and an NFL roster at some point in his career. But right now, when you look at the depth of the Cleveland Browns defensive tackle room, tell me who he's making it over. They're not keeping 7 defensive tackles. They're probably only keeping 5. And is he making it over Dalvin Tomlinson? No. Shelby Harris?
No.
Mo Hurst?
No.
Quentin Jefferson?
No.
Mike Hall?
No.
That's your 5 right there. And if you want to keep Javon Briggs, the guy they drafted in the 7th round out of Cincinnati, who has shown more on tape through 2 preseason games than Ika has.
That's why.
That's 6. So
that right there is why they're okay with the Ika not being.
I just don't know where he fits in.
If they cut both of them, their chances are at least one of them would be back.
I just don't know where he fits on this roster, unfortunately.
I hate to say it. I hate to be the messenger, but
no, you're right.
What it is.
And remember when they drafted him and Jim Schwartz said we're going to turn a dump truck into a Lambo?
Did he say that?
Yeah. He's turned into a motorized scooter.
Can't be 100% on all things.
No, they don't hit them all.
And Jim Schwartz has as good a track record as anyone at developing defensive tackles.
Yeah,
everywhere he's gone.
He simplifies it for
and
you.
if it, I'm not saying it can't work elsewhere, but if it hasn't worked here, it's hard to picture a better fit than the defensive line room situation coaching staff than with the Browns right now. So we hope Siaki Ika has a big game against Seattle. It would certainly make the Browns' decision a lot more difficult if he puts some good plays on tape against the Seahawks. And you want to talk about this trade rumor now?
Yeah, go for it. I got your tweet ready for you.
All right, so pull up the tweet. I'm going to pull it up too so I can read it word for word. But this comes from Zach Jackson from The Athletic, and this came out at 11:11 this morning, so while we were on air. Quote from Zach Jackson: as the Browns go through the process of preparing to make their final summer roster decisions, they've been willing to explore the possibility of trading quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Jason, that's your guy, DTR and Zach Jackson.
Both my guys.
What do you make of this column / article / report / opinion piece from your guy Zach on the Browns potentially listening to trade offers for DTR?
Yeah, I talked to Zach about it. Sorry, I didn't tell you. I forgot. He told me that he was writing this. But
would have been a great topic to know ahead of time. But
I didn't realize he was writing for today. I didn't know it was that close to
okay.
the finish line. But, yeah, I think that there's been some interest in around the league. We just talked about it yesterday. You got to do something. You're certainly not going to carry 4. You have to do something between Huntley and DTR. I prefer DTR. I think there's something there. I'm not saying he's going to be a 15-year starter in the league, but, I like what I've seen. I think he can make all the throws. Feel like he was starting to figure it out last year. But, one thing that's real, and we mentioned this yesterday, is the ability to sneak. And who's going to be the sneaker? Is it going to be Jameis? Is there a role for Huntley as the third quarterback / a quarterback sneak guy? It's not going to be Deshaun. And we saw last year when they traded Josh Dobbs that they're not afraid to pull the trigger on trading a quarterback if they can find value for him elsewhere. So it's an interesting dilemma of which way do you go, Huntley or DTR. You're going to have to move on one of them. I think that there is trade value with DTR. I think there probably would be trade value with Tyler Huntley as well.
I don't think it's a lot of. I think you get more for DTR because of the fact that he's younger
and under contract
for
3 more years.
For a couple more years. But I think that when I see that, that's not shocking to me because you got your 2 quarterbacks that you want essentially on the roster. I think if you cut Tyler Huntley, you could bring him back on P Squad. I don't know how open he would be to that, but it could be a thing. If you cut DTR, somebody's going to claim him immediately. I do think that it is something to the Tyler Huntley thing because you remember about 2 weeks ago, I think it was Mary Kay was on the show. I wasn't here. I was watching it from my phone, and she was talking.
Samuel.
And she was talking about they need to find a role for Huntley because they think he is a very good football player. So if you keep him on pre-squad, if he's open to that, or you want to keep him around your organization, there's things that you can do with him more than having DTR just sit there. And for DTR, don't get me wrong, I think everybody in that organization loves DTR. But if I'm DTR, I don't want to spend my entire career being a backup to somebody. I want to, get the possibility of becoming a starter in this league. And if you stay behind Deshaun, no matter what Deshaun do, you're going to be behind Deshaun unless he gets hurt. Like, they're not benching Deshaun for you. That's just not going to happen. So you will want to go somewhere where you can see yourself becoming the starter. Maybe Minnesota for this season, but not overall. But somewhere that's moving off, like a Dallas. If they move off Dak, you'll be the next guy in line. Or you go to Seattle, they move off Geno, you could be the next. Like, those are things that you want. So many times, and it happens to a lot of young guys. I fell for the same thing when I was young. You get to a place as a rookie, and you love the players that's around, and you just want it to work there. But sometimes it's just not going to ever be in the cards for you to be playing there because who's in front of you is so good. It was like me in Seattle. I love Seattle. I never wanted to leave Seattle. But then I talked to Sherman. He was like, what you going to do, be a backup to me for your entire career? And I'm like, no, I actually want to play. Well, you're not going to play over me. You're not going to play over Earl. You're not going to play over Cam. So what are you doing? So it's like, yeah, you do need to leave. Yeah. And I think he's in the same situation to where, don't get me wrong, I would love for him to be the quarterback for the Browns in 3 years or whenever the case may be. But for him, for his sake, he needs to go somewhere where he can get on the field and start playing because I do think he's got a really special talent, and I think if he gets under the right coach that continues to fine-tune him a little bit more, I think he could be a really good quarterback in this league.
Look at the progression of DTR. When the Browns drafted him, he was QB3 last year going into preseason, right? Behind Josh Dobbs and Deshaun Watson. He beats out Dobbs for the QB2 spot in the preseason. They trade Josh to Arizona. He's quarterback 2. Deshaun gets hurt. He gets his chance to play. DTR gets hurt. Played pretty well in that Pittsburgh game. Showed flashes in the Denver game in his second start. He beat Pittsburgh. Didn't play great. It was a 13-10 win if I remember correctly. But did enough to win. Was playing better against Denver. Gets concussed. Misses the season. Joe Flacco comes in. We all know what happens after. He comes into his second season, and you want to make progressions. Tyvus, tell me if I'm wrong. You want to go from, third string to backup to eventually starter.
Yes.
Through no fault of his own, he's back from being the backup last year to now the third-string quarterback. Like, Jameis Winston is the backup to Deshaun Watson. There's no argument about that. And the Browns made a decision that they needed something a little more reliable and a more veteran presence to be the backup to Deshaun, something a little more stable in case he gets hurt again or isn't playing for whatever reason. So they brought in Jameis, and now DTR's back in second. So if DTR said, I want a chance to be the backup quarterback, I can't blame him. To your point, I can't blame him. But I think when the Browns are looking at making this decision between Huntley and DTR, it could come down to purely draft compensation in return, or what can you get back for DTR versus Huntley. And I do think while both could be worth something in terms of draft capital, Huntley may be a 6th. Well, DTR could be worth a 5th because of his contract, his age, and the fact that he's still a developing quarterback, unlike Huntley, who you kind of know what you're getting. So if the Browns are going into this looking, we think they're about the same, but we could get more for DTR, it wouldn't shock me if he's the guy who ends up being traded.
If I'm DTR and they about to trade me and they ask me who's the team that I would like to go get traded to, I would pick the Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay, Matt Stafford towards the end. He's from L.A. He got Puka that's going to always be there. Good
Who's their backup? Who's the Rams' backup?
Stetson Bennett.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, they signed Jimmy G.
Who's they say looks terrible.
Yeah.
And Stetson Bennett is behind them. So he could go there and he'd be better than both of them. He'd be a better option than both of them right now. And if Matthew Stafford, as old as he gets hurt. Yeah. So, you might get forced into action. And you in L.A., that means you're going to play harder because it's L.A. You could be the man.
I do think injuries are a concern with DTR. He had the concussion you mentioned, and then he came in and just took a couple of snaps and got hurt again. Yeah, and it was a pretty serious injury. So, I think that is a valid concern to have. And I also wonder if the Browns would just – obviously they invested more in the backup quarterback spot than they had intended because I believe they drafted DTR believing he was going to be the long-term backup. They saw what happened last year. They pivoted, signed Jameis to a big money deal, but it's only for 1 year. He's only on a 1-year deal. So now do you sort of reset your clock and go back into the draft?
And draft a late quarterback.
And draft another quarterback this year in the 4th, 5th type round as another developmental type of guy and just sort of start that process over again.
Jameis
if that's your
Winston's
plan.
contract is how long?
1 year.
He's got 1 year. That's it.
They better keep him.
And that's also, I gotta be honest, it surprises me that they would move DTR knowing Jameis is only 1 year. If you move on from Jameis after that 1 year, I'm sure Jameis is looking at this as an opportunity to sort of cleanse himself and maybe get a starter's job next year. You know, the
Gardner Minshew vein.
The guy, the local kid, Trubisky did that. It didn't work out again, but you go be a backup for a year and then you enter back in the water. So then you would have DTR as a 3rd-year guy coming in to be a backup. You still have him for 2 more years under contract. That sounds pretty good to me. But if they do move on from him, if they are able to find value for him and move him, I would expect that they would go back into the draft again next year and start that process over again of trying to find a guy in those mid-rounds.
I'm not a fan of restarting that process.
I'm not either. You got the guy.
How many years Deshaun got left on his contract?
3.
This and 2 more.
Yeah. This and
And
2
he
more.
got 3 years left on his rookie deal.
He's got 3 left
So
on his rookie deal.
essentially, he'd be Jordan Love.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone looks at DTR as the heir apparent to Deshaun.
Well, if that's the case, then he need to go ahead and move. And when 3 years is up, they need to take one in the first
Bull
round.
and I said yesterday, and I agree, I totally if it doesn't work this year for Deshaun, you have to start coming up with an exit strategy.
I agree.
You got 2 years left on the deal. You got to start figuring out how you're going to get. Like this is the make or break year.
But it's so fortunate to say that in this situation that it's a new offensive philosophy. Your offensive line looks wishy-washy. Like, I can see why you could get to the end of the season. I just think for him, he needs to just have some flat. It just need to be some games where he just put a string of games together that makes people believe, like, all right, he is good.
Yeah.
And the first part of that is playing 17 games to begin with. And like I said, no matter where he looks like, you have to just play him for the 17 games and let the whole thing play out, because by the end of this season, you have to have an answer of what you're going to do. If you're going to stick with him or if you do need to start looking for something.
You may be looking for a quarterback a whole lot higher than the mid-rounds.
And to Jason's point, if it doesn't work out with Deshaun, and obviously we all hope it does, but if it doesn't, DTR isn't the next guy up. Like, they would draft somebody in the first round. They would go and try to make another trade in the vein of Deshaun Watson or sign someone. However, you're going to have to acquire somebody.
If that's true, and DTR, you might need to go ahead and request. You might need to go request the trade.
But he was a fifth round pick. Like, his expectations have to be realistic too.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, when he was out there, the Baltimore game is a wash.
Yeah, throw that out the window.
Yeah. The other 2 games,
Pittsburgh and a half of Denver.
Yeah, if he would have been lights out them 2 games, well, 1, Jameis wouldn't even be here, but 2, his trade value would be through the roof.
He's got a great arm.
Yeah.
He's got a great arm.
He's got the arm. I mean, like, he threw that
He's
pass.
got the mobility.
That pass, he threw the thrash on that slant. I was looking at that like that's crazy, because that DB was draped all over him, and he just got it through there. Yeah, he just got it through there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a rocket. We talked about his combine numbers. He had the fastest ball ever tracked at the combine when he was coming out of UCLA. He's got more experience than any college quarterback had ever had coming out of the draft. Like, he has the requisites. He's just a little undersized, and to Jason's point, he's dealt with some injuries already in his NFL career that, if you're looking to make him the future pillar of your franchise, would probably give some teams some concern. And he's kind of slight built to begin with, on top of the injury history. So he's a talented player. There's no doubt about that. He's an electric.
Which is crazy.
And I think he could fill in and be a really good backup. Like, I think Bull mentioned yesterday.
As skinny as he is, he his arm is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just imagine if he just got on the
It's like
protein.
Tim Lincecum or
got
Randy
on the
Johnson.
protein shakes or something.
But I think, like Bull said yesterday, Jason, DTR could be a solid backup in this league for 10, 12 years.
The Colt McCoy plan.
Exactly. But I don't think, and we learned with Colt McCoy's great to have as your QB2. When he becomes QB1, you're probably drafted in the top 10 of the draft the next year. And I'm not saying that's DTR's ceiling, but I don't think any team in the NFL is looking at DTR right now saying that's a guy we think could lead us to the playoffs as a starting quarterback for 17 games. He's a great guy to fill in for a few games. You could certainly win with DTR, but you're winning with him, not because of him.
No.
Fair?
I mean, we ain't got a lot of data to go off of. Like I say, he looked good in the preseason games when he's out there. Everybody for the Browns love him. Everybody rolled with him when he went in there, and I do think that he's had moments where I was like, man, that's a really good throw. But then there's moments where it's like, what are you doing? But I think that that's just being young. For him, it's all mental. You know, once he gets a better understanding of the game and understands that, you know, maybe I can't thread everything, or maybe I need to take a little bit off so my receivers can catch it. Like, I think that will make him very valuable as a quarterback as well. So I think he got all the intangibles to be a good quarterback. I ain't gonna tell you he's gonna be the greatest thing ever, but I think he could be a really good quarterback in this league.
Yeah. And where do you want to go next?
I was going to ask you guys, do you want to talk about D'Onta Foreman, or do you guys want to go straight into baseball?
I'll let you guys decide. We can talk Foreman tomorrow if we want, or we can talk Foreman
Makes me
today.
no difference.
Jason?
You guys are wonderful.
Let's do Foreman real quick.
All right, let's do the Foreman topic, Mike. I don't need to do a read. Go right at it.
Yeah, D'Onta Foreman was one of the lone bright spots on offense against the Vikings. He had the touchdown on the ground, 18 rushing yards, nearly 50 yards in the air as a receiver. Tyvis, if Nick CHubb isn't healthy for week 1, who gets the majority of the carries against Dallas, Jerome Ford or D'Onta Foreman?
The majority of the carries, Jerome Ford.
Oh, okay, I disagree.
I'm going with Jerome Ford because he's more – if they're going to a more spread-style offense, I think that just fits Jerome Ford. I think when he was in Cincinnati, I think they ran the spread there, and that's where he was very effective. You got a guy that's going to catch the ball out the backfield. D'Onta Foreman, to me, is a guy that you use – they're going to be great for switching off, you know. I think that – for the reasons that we talked about at the beginning of this show about the offensive line worries, is why I'll be more comfortable with Jerome Ford than D'Onta Foreman, because Jerome Ford, you can pitch it out, sweep it, all those other things. I think D'Onta Foreman is a more in-between tackles guy. And if you ain't getting that push, he ain't getting you no yards.
Jason, let me go next because I disagree, and you'll be the deciding vote here.
Yeah.
But and this makes me feel really stupid because you played football at a much higher level than I did. I played 1 year Pop Warner. I was terrible at it. You obviously played in the NFL. But for the exact same reason you just said Jerome Ford is why I think it has to be D'Onta Foreman.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
uncertainty of this offensive line, and we don't know who's going to be at the tackles. We know the guards are in the center. Pochich, Batonio, Teller are solid. When the line wasn't great last year, Jerome Ford wasn't great. Jerome Ford has home run potential that D'Onta Foreman does not have.
Yes.
Like, if the hole's there, Jerome Ford could take a 4-yard gain, turn into a 70-yard touchdown, just like we saw against Indianapolis. Jerome Ford could also dance behind the line of scrimmage and tip-tap, and get tackled for 3 yards and put Deshaun in 2nd and long and 3rd and longs too often against the Dallas defense that can turn up the pass rush and force Deshaun into inconvenient and unfortunate circumstances on 3rd and obvious passing situations. So because I think D'Onta Foreman's a little more in the Nick CHubb mold and a little more north and south runner, just hit the hole. It may be 3 yards at a time instead of the potential of a bigger gain for Jerome Ford, but I'd rather be in 2nd and 7 and 3rd and 4s than the potential of losing yards, having Jerome Ford dance behind the makeshift offensive line if the hole's not there, trying to wait for the perfect opportunity that never arises. So that's why I'd go with D'Onta Foreman.
I guess for me, it's more about which one do I trust to make a guy miss more. I think that's what I think. If he's a dancer, he better dance and make sure he make the first guy miss toward Foreman. I don't know how much his quick step change direction ability is.
I hear you, but I'm with Tyvis on this one. I think it's Jerome Ford, because if this was last year's offense, if they were still in 12 and 13 personnel, I think it'd be D'Onta Foreman.
I agree.
But with where they're trying to take this thing and where I think and a lot of people think this is headed, I don't know that Foreman really fits where they want to go. So I was more or less really disappointed in Jerome Ford last year. He had a couple big pops. You mentioned the Colts, the Steelers. He had the long run against the Steelers. But it was feast or famine, and there was a whole lot of starving going on with Jerome last year. But, that was his first exposure, his first experience. Maybe going through it once, there's more there and they can get more out of him. But I just think he fits the mold of this offense and where they're trying to go with it better than going real heavy 12-13 run between the tackles.
We throw one more thing at you. Deuce Staley was D'Onta Foreman's coach in Carolina in 2022 when D'Onta Foreman rushed over 100 yards 6 different times that season. He's done it 8 times in his career. 6 times came in 2022 with Deuce Staley as his running back coach. Think that plays any factor into how this split share gets divvied up in terms of carries in week 1?
Yeah.
Or at least early in the season?
That'll absolutely make him get more carries. I'm not saying that it's going to be by much. I mean,
Yeah, I think it'll be close regardless.
yeah, you're going to take the hits off of both of them. It's first game 1. I just think that when you look at RB1, I feel like because of the pass catching factor Jerome Ford has, it's more of a threat because he can run the ball and he can catch out the backfield. To where if you see D'Onta Foreman, not saying he can't, he had a really good catch and run last week, so I'm not gonna say he can't. But I'm just saying, as a linebacker, I'd be more like, okay, I got to get ready because I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to run the ball or if he's going to catch the ball out the backfield. They're going to run a screen to him to where when it's Foreman, it's like, okay, let me get ready to come downhill to make a play. Like, that's just how I would think as a linebacker.
I think Foreman's a little better pass catcher than.
No, he is. I just said he had a big play last week.
Yeah. He had, 5 catches for 46 yards, whatever it was?
He was up there.
He was really their only offensive threat against Minnesota. Granted, it's a preseason game, all the backups were playing. But considering where he was when he got med-flight flown from the Greenbrier to Roanoke.
Crazy. To
being back playing and a guy we're talking about being a legitimate contributor in week 1 for the Browns is crazy. Jason, have you heard any update on Nick CHubb in terms of his availability for week 1?
No, they've kept that really under wraps. There was a time where I think he was pushing to play week 1. I don't know that they would allow that. I don't know. Like, I haven't seen him run. I was out at Berea when he was running a week and a half ago maybe. But the last I saw, the straight ahead looked great. The cuts looked like he was not going full speed on the cuts. Now, I could be wrong on that, but just from my observation from 40 yards away, it looked like he was not going full speed on the cuts. So I think I'd be a little surprised if he was out there for week 1, but I don't think he'll miss too much time.
Ty, you hear anything?
I haven't heard anything about Nick CHubb. I don't see him being out there week 1. I've been saying that for a long time, that I didn't see him being out there week 1. I didn't doubt him. I just think that it's so much that goes into coming back from that injury, and the fact that the Browns want to be cautious with him, which is going to keep him out of that game week 1. I said I think he's going to start the year off on the PUP list, and I still think that that's in play unless he this week or next week is out there doing individual drills. He's going to start off on the PUP.
Yeah.
I just look at that Browns schedule, and the last not 2 months, but the last 8 games of the season for the Browns is a gauntlet. A gauntlet.
They need
And
him.
it's so much more important to have Nick CHubb for those final 8 games of the season than it is to have him for week 1 against Dallas. And if it puts him in any jeopardy of sacrificing his long-term health for later in the season just to be out there week 1 to make a statement or prove a point, to prove he's an alien. Like Nick CHubb, we know you're an alien. We've seen you squat 8,000 pounds on the tsunami bar. We've seen you do physical feats that 99.9% of humans couldn't even dream of doing. You've won.
Is he cutting right now?
Yeah.
He is doing cutting and stuff?
You said half speed, though. Or from
It didn't look like full speed to me.
Okay.
Certainly at the Greenbrier.
Once he put
it
the
did not look
pads
like full
on it,
speed.
he hit Indy. Like, once he do individual and pads, that's like, all right, you got maybe a week or 2.
I've only seen him running post-practice with nobody else around.
Yeah,
Shorts and jersey. Straight ahead, sprint, and then some
And that's
cuts.
only what they're allowing you to see, too.
Right.
Which you have to remember. And if
Right.
they're allowing you to see that, what do they not want you to see then is worth at least asking the question.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Like I say, it'll be telling the final cuts is Tuesday? So they got to make a decision by next Tuesday,
I think
right?
it's Monday, isn't it?
Is it? Whenever.
No, I think it's Tuesday morning.
It's coming up. Whatever it is, they got to make a decision. At that point, we'll know. If he's on the PUP list, they'll tell you.
Last Browns thing, move on to the Guardians. Jason, for a guy like Luke Whippler, does he have to be on the 53-man roster and then placed on IR? Is that how it works with guys who are hurt like that? if they want to keep Luke Whippler without putting him through waivers and on the practice squad?
You could try to use. Ain't nobody claiming them.
Whippler?
I think a team would put in a claim for Whippler.
I doubt it.
But I'm just saying, whether or not, just the procedural process.
There's the different lists, right? I'm trying to remember now.
If you
list.
get cut,
There's one that if you get put on it, you're out for the year.
that's like that's IR.
That's IR, I think.
Yeah. If you get cut, so right now, if he's on IR and you get cut from the final 53, you're gonna revert back to that IR anyways, because you can't be released until you're healthy. So, however you want to put that, I think that if you want to keep them though forever, then you got to start the season with them on the 53,
and
then put them on IR. And then that's when you see guys start to get signed and claimed back and all of those things.
Yeah.
So for Luke Whippler, if they want to keep him, which they will, he'll start on the 53, then they'll put him on IR.
Okay, that's what I thought. And he's the only one who'd be in that situation right now for the Browns, right?
Yes.
I think so.
Because Wills and Conklin, they're PUP.
Yeah, no, yeah,
If Chubb is or isn't, he'll be PUP.
Yeah.
He won't be IR.
Yeah, he's the only one.
All right, just wanted to clarify that. All right, and let's talk a little Guardians, and then we got to do a read first before we dive in.
Yeah, before we go to Guardians, guys, you've heard us talk all about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel members can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook.
Kevin Stefanski's talking right now. Ant, give me 1 sec. We'll get to Guardians. Mary Kay just tweeted, Browns coach Kevin Stefanski says all of his starters should expect to play, but he'll make a final determination later in the week if Deshaun Watson will face the Seahawks.
Sounds like softening on that.
It was Deshaun will definitely play, and now it sounds like Deshaun may or may not play. So that's something we'll follow throughout the rest of the week here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and give you guys updates as they become more available. Let's talk a little Guardians, though, guys. About to start a 3-game set with the New York Yankees in New York City. The Yankees 73-52 on the season. The Guardians 72-52. The Guardians coming off a swept series, or they got swept by the Brewers. Jason, how big is this series for the Guardians in terms of reinstilling some confidence here in the Guardians fan base?
I don't know if they need to worry about reinstilling confidence in the fan base. They need to worry about reinstilling confidence in themselves. And it's a tough lineup. It's a tough place to play. The Yankees aren't infallible this year, but the Guardians, say they were here in April. I think it took 2 or 3 from Cleveland. It's always a tough matchup for them. I think the Twins lost last night, right?
They're 2.5 ahead of Kansas City.
So it's still 2.5 up. So it's a big series. They're all big series at this point from here on out.
Kansas City creeping. Ooh, they just creeping in the woods.
They're just, the Royals just won't go away, man. They looked like they were dead a couple weeks ago, and they just came right back. So it's going to be a fun race down the stretch. Get to see your guy Matthew Boyd pitch again. He was terrific in his first start.
I'm going to tell you right now, when I seen that today, I said, well, we going to know something. the other one might have been fluke. It ain't no running from this one right here. If he pitches well tonight, I don't want to hear nothing, Jason. The dude is legit. I just want to put that out there. Matthew Boyd finished this game with maybe 1 earned run and like 5 or 6 strikeouts. It's done. The dude need to be there in the rotation for the rest of the time being. I don't care what nobody say. He's fixed.
Well, he's facing Luis Gil tonight, and Luis Gil, when he's on, and Bernie Kosar just walked in. We'll get Bernie on here in a little bit. When Luis Gil is on, his stuff is electric. I don't know how much you guys have seen of Luis Gil this season. He started off, he's a rookie time. He started off this season unhittable. Kind of hit a little rough patch, not pitching nearly as well as he had earlier, but throws a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, a 94-mile-an-hour slider, and an 84-mile-an-hour changeup, and has dudes looking silly if his stuff's on. So Matthew Boyd versus Luis Gil. If you get the Matthew Boyd you got in his first start, and like the Matthew Boyd we've seen in Columbus, going up against a guy in Luis Gil who has some of the most electric, filthy stuff in all of baseball, it should make for a great game tonight. against the New York Yankees. I'm excited.
I want to see Josh Naylor hit a home run and then rock
the baby.
Well, Garrett Cole's pitching in the third game, and that's the guy who hit the home run off in the first time. And I don't think
they gonna be going at it if that's the case. If Garrett Cole pitches in the third game, Josh Naylor better strap him up tight because he about to throw some stuff.
Yeah, I mean the guards face Heel, then Nestor Cortez, Jason's favorite pitcher in the world.
I can't stand it.
And then Garrett Cole in the third series. So
I don't like
two
Nestor
tough pitchers.
Cortez.
No, he's a clown. He's a clown.
Well, like I say, this is a
Clown.
This is a good series. The last game, I don't think they was hitting that well. Against the Brewers, they just was not hitting at all. You got to find it. Like, if that offense is there, like, it has to be what it was before July. Like, that's the type of performance you're going to have to beat the Yankees. Everybody's on deck. Josh Naylor, Jose, Lane. I'm predicting Josh Naylor to go yard today. I'm going to just throw that out there. And I would like to see Lane Thomas, who I think had a hit in his last game, I think.
No, I don't.
Did he not have a one?
Maybe.
I mean, he ain't have a great game. He just had a hit. And I was just I'll take that over the what you've been giving us.
As an offense, they had 13 hits in the 3 games. So we'll see how it goes.
Terrible.
When you look at the importance
I'm trying
of
to
this
think of some bright spots. Y'all killing me.
I know if a guy hitting 113 was one hit is a bright spot, but whatever. Ty, when you look at the importance of this series, though, you mentioned they're 2.5 games up on both Minnesota and Kansas City in the division.
Yeah.
They're half a game behind New York for the number 1 seed in the American League right now.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure what the tiebreaker is. I think head-to-head's the first tiebreaker. The Guardians and the Yankees could be the 2 teams battling for that 1 spot and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The Yankees won 2 of 3 the first time they came around. The Guardians need to win 2 of 3 this time to at least get that split and go to the second tiebreaker. If it does come down to a final game of the season situation where both teams have essentially the same record, both talked about it time and time again. The Yankees may not be the Yankees of the early 2000s, but you do not want to go to the Bronx in a Game 7 situation. There's some sort of aura and atmosphere there that is extremely difficult to overcome. And it's not impossible, but you'd much rather play that game at Progressive Field than in the Bronx.
First of all, I do want to go to there. Before I die, I do want to go see a game there.
Cool place.
Just to see what it's like. And I think that if anything, this is a playoff-like setting for the Guardians. You've been, up until this point, you've been really good. You've had your moments where things have been bad, but for the most part, it's been a season that you could be proud of.
Absolutely.
But you need this series to be tested because this is what it's going to be. This is as close as you're going to get to a playoff-like setting, like how you're going to perform in the playoffs. I know it's still regular season right now, but this game has meaning behind it because you're looking to try to get that number 1 seed. So to me, how they perform in this series would tell me a lot. If they win this series, it's very hard for somebody to tell me that team can't win a World Series. Like that to me this is a big moment for them. Who's pitching for us? Who's the 3 pitchers? Boyd. It ain't gonna be Cobb.
They haven't announced tomorrow yet.
Oh,
and then Gavin Williams on
Gavin got
Thursday.
hit up the last time he was out there.
Well, it's Gavin versus Garrett Cole, and Jason, you've talked time and time again
Gavin got hit in the mouth the last time he was out there.
It was more one bad.
Yeah, he gave up a 3-run
yeah.
homer in the first, and that kind of set. I mean, it was not a good outing.
He got hit in the mouth.
It was
But
not a
Garrett
good outing.
Cole's the guy who a lot of people have compared Gavin Williams to in the past, and you're
Yeah.
going to get a side-by-side comparison, a head-to-head matchup between Gavin Williams and Garrett Cole, former Cy Young Award winner. Has he won multiple Cy Youngs?
Yes.
Multiple Cy Young Award winner.
I believe so.
I know he won last year, but you're going to get the chance to see who Gavin Williams is now versus who you hope Gavin Williams can turn into down the road.
Is Cookie pitching tomorrow?
He's on the IL. I don't know who they're going to pitch tomorrow. They call up Cantillo
Didn't they call somebody up yesterday when they put Cobb down?
Well, it's supposed to be Cobb, so
Yeah, they got to figure that out.
they also called up DeLauder to AAA.
Bobby
which
hasn't
I'm
pitched
excited
since the 11th. I don't know if they'll use him.
No, Bobby pitches the day after Williams. He'll be the first starter against Texas.
Yeah, they just pushed him back
I
a
see
couple of
that.
days. They pushed him
Yeah.
back a couple of days.
So I don't know they haven't announced the starter yet, but whoever it is will be facing Nestor Cortez, who is the guy you'd want him pitching against.
Yeah, I'm about to
Cortez is
say,
the worst
yeah,
of the 3
he-
starters they'll face.
I had to lost some FanDuel money because of him. So,
Cortez?
yeah,
he's,
I took the Yankees when he was on. I don't think I won yet when he's on. So
Nah, he's a
definitely pick the Guardians tomorrow on the money line.
You mentioned Gavin though. That's the one. That's the one I want to see Gavin Williams against that lineup in that stadium because you're counting on him to give you big innings down the stretch and into the playoffs. And he's the least tested. You know, Tanner Bibby's proven more than Gavin Williams has to this point. So I want to see Gavin in that environment in a pennant race, in a playoff chase, in one of the most hostile stadiums that exist.
Well,
and see how he responds coming off a pretty terrible start his last time out on the road.
Sink or swim.
Yeah.
They need him to swim.
I was telling my dad that as soon as you count the Guardians out, as soon as you even let the thought creep in your head
They're back.
that this may not be as real as the record indicates, they come back.
Yeah.
So I fully expect after a horrific, and I mean putrid,
It was terrible.
putrid offensive performance against the
terrible.
Milwaukee Brewers, the Guardians are going to score 13 runs tonight off Luis Heel. They're going to have 7 in the first inning. We're going to see everyone who hasn't hit. Schneemann, Fry, Rocchio, Freeman. Like,
Put it in the parlay.
all these
then,
guys-
if that's the case.
I'm done betting on baseball. But we're going to see all these guys come through and put together some monster offensive performances because as soon as you even think about stepping out on the Guardians, they cast it out and they slowly reel you back in, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's been the only constant with the Guardians this season. As soon as you think they're done, they find a way to say, holy shit,
Yeah.
this team's good.
Again.
It
Anthony.
happens every time.
Anthony, let me see that they schedule again after this. Who they got? What's the teams after this?
They got Texas after this, and then Kansas City.
And then
Then
Pittsburgh.
after
Dang, that's
Pittsburgh,
all
they go
that.
into
There'll be
Kansas
some
City.
good
Then
teams
it's-
too.
then
They playing some good ball for quite some time.
Yeah, then it's Kansas City again on the back end of that. They got a lot coming up with the Royals.
And then after the Royals, they
Oh,
go
man.
into LA. against the Dodgers.
Bobby Witt playing on another level.
He's
right
insane.
now.
He's insane. Insane.
They got to, yeah. They got to have this one. They got to have this one in the worst way. I didn't peep the rest of the schedule like that.
Well, to your point, like they were down, they get swept by Minnesota in the doubleheader, and it's down to 1.5, and you think like, well,
Lost
all
7
right,
in a row.
here it
Whatever.
comes, and then they turn around and rip off what 4 straight. I think
it was
after
5.
that was it 5 after that? Yeah, the last 2 of that series,
And they
then
swept. Yeah.
yeah, and then they get swept.
They're I mean, it's in the nicest way. They're like cockroaches. Like you can't kill them. Like they're just, no matter what happens, it could be a nuclear explosion. The Guardians will somehow find a way to score 8 runs the day after they get shut out for 4 games in a row. Bull talked about some of the lineup changes he thinks they need. They called up DeLauder to AAA. Jason, when you look at the outfielders in Columbus now, they have about 7 outfielders. I pray to all the gods up there that it's George Valera who gets called up. My fear is it's going to be Miles Straw, and they're going to tell us
What?
Miles has changed his approach at the
No.
plate.
Straw did hit a home run.
I know,
the other day.
and that's what
Did he?
my
Yeah.
biggest fear is they're going to call. Now
No, Miles Straw will spend the rest
you
of
already
his career in Columbus.
hold on. Jason already told us he talked to Zach Jackson, had inside information about something and didn't tell us. If you've talked to Zach Meisel this morning
I
and you
have
know
not.
who they're calling up and you're not telling us, I'll be very upset.
I have not. Yeah, I'm sorry about the DTR thing. That's really funny. I saw that come across like, oh yeah, that's right. He told me about that.
So do you think it's Valera? You think we're finally going to get a chance
he
to see
needs.
Valera?
We need to. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple years ago he was our top prospect. He's had a ton of injuries since then, but I've been hearing about George Valera's left-handed swing for
10 years now.
at least 5 years. So I'd love to get a look at this guy and see if he can help them in October, because that's really what this is all about. Like the way that they've been churning through these guys, the way that they've been bringing guys up and giving guys a look, it's about who can help us in October. Well, he's probably next, or should be next, him and Manzardo both, to get him up here and take a look at him and see.
And I just sent you the Louder home run. When you get that in social news desk, let me know, because I got to show you guys this. Tyvis, you're a swing expert here on the show, and Jason.
I'm sure I can get it in by overtime.
Yeah, with this piece, I'm not going to hold my tongue here. Did you see the home run he hit last night?
Last night?
2 nights ago.
Uh,
whatever it was?
Lauder?
It was his 3rd home run in 3 games.
I
The
think
way-
I saw it.
I am all in on DeLauder. I talked about it before the season. I thought I have like a weird affinity of James Madison. Like, so I just always like guys from James Madison, go Dukes. But I
That
almost,
is weird.
I almost went there.
Oh, okay.
I almost went there.
Okay.
I had the best campus visit of my life to James Madison. We can talk about it
Ready,
off
Mike?
air. Play the video. How did he turn it? Like, his swing doesn't look like it should be as powerful as it is. And he
got on top of that. That's high.
He hits rockets. Like, he hits rockets. That one barely went over, but the way he turns on a high fastball like that, his back foot steps out a little bit.
He?
He's big. He's like 6'4".
Yeah, I'm like, you look like me.
That's definitely what your swing looked like when you see the video against Jay. But Jason, I'm serious. It's an unconventional swing, but it works.
Quick hands.
You see his back foot? Like, his back foot steps out. I can't imagine you're really getting enough power, but he does.
Quick hands through the zone.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And let it play one more time. Let the actual swing go. You got out of social media. You have to go back to news desk and call it because it's stupid. It's not your
That's
fault.
on me.
No, it's not your fault. It's a stupid system. I can't believe we switched it. And it'll be my dying wish here at UCSS to get a better playback system.
I want to see his back foot because
I can't believe I missed tag board.
It's going to play one more time, but just watch the back foot, and then we'll talk about
board.
that Alex Cobb injury, which certainly interesting. But yeah, let this play through. Watch when he swings again, Tyus. Watch the back foot. Like, there's no way that should be a home run the way he swings this. It looks like a drunk guy playing wiffle ball in his backyard at a family barbecue, except he's doing it against professional pitchers.
I can't see his back foot.
I can't see it either.
Through the pitcher.
Steps kind of sideways.
Right.
Regardless, it's an unconventional swing, but he's had tremendous power numbers essentially every time he's played in his baseball career. So we hope for the Guardians he can keep that up, not just in AAA, but eventually here in Cleveland with the Major League club.
Yeah. Well, I think Valera's next. Hopefully they get him and Manzardo up here and get a look.
They need to. And do we have a read before Alex Cobb, or do you want to get right into it?
No, we can go right into Alex Cobb, and then our next read will be when we bring in Bernie.
So we're bringing in Bernie in about 10 minutes here. Jason, Alex Cobb was set to make his third start, for the Guardians on Saturday. No, I keep saying Saturday. It's on Wednesday against the Yankees. He's out with a nail fracture.
Yeah.
The way the Guardians tweeted out the news, they kind of made light of it. I don't know if you saw the actual tweet.
No.
They put the injury report up, and it was Alex Cobb to the IL 15-day, and they said it's a nail fracture, don't worry, guys. So I'm assuming that means it's not very serious. But Jason, what have you learned? What have you found out about a nail fracture, and is this something that could affect Alex Cobb for the rest of the season?
I'm just
What is wrong with you?
I'm fascinated.
I mean, you don't think much about it, but nails are a big part of pitching. And, we were talking.
A nail.
Yeah, because the way you grip the ball and the way the ball comes off your fingers and the spin and everything else.
The nail.
Knuckleballers used to get, I remember, would get manicures all the time. And they would have to keep the nails smooth. It's one of those things that it's kind of like turf toe. We're talking about turf toe.
That'll bring an elephant down.
But you don't think it's that big of a
I don't care
deal.
what nobody
It
says.
doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But for what you're trying to do, it's a really big deal. And it's the same with nails. Now, hopefully this obviously isn't serious and doesn't turn into something where just a couple of weeks and he'll be okay. You got to let that thing heal and grow back. Jay was talking about it with us about he got it with it throwing a knuckle curve. It tore up his nail. So
How long is this? It's just for 15 days?
Hopefully it's just a quick IL stint and then he's back. They need him. I like the move when they got him. It was a vintage Guardians move of don't give up a ton and get something that could have a major payoff at the end. And then you get put down with something small like this. Better than a nail than an elbow or shoulder or anything like that.
I'm just mad at the timing of it.
Yeah.
I really
yeah.
I know it's the Yankees, and I know he hadn't been here. He hasn't pitched this season. He had the 2 games with us this season. And I know that is probably throwing him in the fire against the Yankees. But like I said, with the same thing with Gap, sink or swim, I need to know. Like, just show me a glimpse or something. And I thought he pitched well. And
his last start, he pitched
he
really well.
pitched really well. So
yeah.
I was like, okay, he's trending in the right direction. And it's just, I don't know. I just, as a Guardians fan, you just upset. Like, dang, man. Every time we just can't have nice things. That's what it just seems like.
Well, the fact he hasn't pitched in quite a while probably could have contributed to this as well.
Yeah.
The fact that, when's the last time he threw a pitch?
Last season? Wasn't it last season?
And so you got to build up the callus around that finger.
I could go out there and do it.
Of course you could. Of course you could.
I should have played baseball, Jason. Like, if I could go back in the time.
Because you played in the NFL.
If I could go back in
He
the
played in
time,
the NFL.
I think Kyler Murray is dumb for not going with the A's and staying with the Cardinals.
He made more money in football than he would have in baseball.
You think?
Yeah.
He probably still
Look at that contract he signed.
$159 million guaranteed.
That's chump change to a baseball player. If he good. He was a first round pick.
He was a second baseman.
He was a first
He's
round pick.
I think he's a second baseman.
I thought he was a second baseman too. He an
He's
outfielder?
an outfielder.
No
I
way.
thought he's a second baseman.
No, Kyler definitely played the infield.
Kyler Murray, baseball.
I don't know how many second basemen. I mean, you got to get to Altuve status.
Bazana.
Well, he ain't made $150 million
Not yet.
He's an outfielder. Yeah, get out of here.
Really?
I thought he played second.
Well, he could have got it.
Well, maybe he could have got it. But you know what? He did all right for himself. He made himself enough money. I don't think he's starving. I thought he made more than 150. Is that all he got from Arizona?
Guaranteed. It was $228 million, but 150.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the.
He
They
was the
wanted-
next contract, but he didn't get the full guarantee like Deshaun. Remember, everyone was asking, is this going to be the trend?
Yeah.
And then Kyler was the next contract and didn't
Yeah.
get it. Back to the Alex Cobb thing. Luckily, it doesn't sound that serious. I may be looking too far into the Guardians' tweet about it, but I can't imagine they would make a little light of it in a tweet if it was something that they thought.
Well,
was
this
gonna
is
be
an organization that is famous for downplaying injuries.
fair, true.
Gavin
Yes.
Williams is supposed to miss 2 weeks.
Okay, maybe I'm rethinking this. But no, but like in all seriousness, I think your point of it, having to build the callus in a nail fracture, he pitched well enough in the last game that I'm not worried about the arm anymore. It's just, can he stay healthy to throw? Is his nail structurally sound enough to grip whatever pitch he needs to grip it with and let it rip? But the fact that we saw him throw 5 2/3 of 1-run ball his last outing or whatever it was, the fact that we actually saw him come back from that hip surgery, look like the pitcher he was in San Francisco the year before that made an all-star team, I'm not too worried about it. But this pitching rotation can't suffer many more blows.
No.
Like that.
We just got to the point of like, okay,
Yeah.
it's not a 5-alarm fire anymore.
I don't think this individually is that big of a deal, but just in the grand scheme of things with this rotation, like
You don't.
It's
they're
always
they're
something.
thin.
It's always something.
For tomorrow's game, you don't want to see McKenzie or Allen pitch.
No.
Listen, if you hang a curveball against that Yankee
Wait,
lineup,
what else you got? What?
called Cantillo again.
What?
Joey Cantillo. Yeah.
Wow, that's where you at.
I mean, it's one game.
That's my point. You don't want to see it?
Well, they'll probably call up whoever's next in the rotation down there.
McKenzie been balling, y'all tell me.
He
that
had one
good
great start. I haven't seen what he's done since then.
The start we looked it up last week. The start after it was average. It wasn't
He
great. It wasn't
back.
bad.
He back.
I don't know what he did in the start.
Big
following
Nuggets.
that.
He back. The best way to find out if he really back, put him up against the Yankees.
And if he gets absolutely clobbered and Aaron Judge hits a hanging curveball 638 feet into the Bronx sky,
Then
you
shoulda-
lose his confidence for the
then
entire
he shoulda got.
potential postseason.
Then they'll say, "Well, if you would have got the surgery, then
I feel like it's a losing fight either way. Jason, real quick on the Cobb injury front,
Yeah.
have you heard of a pitcher with a nail fracture? Like, can you think of an actual example of this happening before?
Yes.
and
Not-
someone
I
making
mean,
a recovery.
I can't. I know that this has been a problem in the past for pitchers with nails. I can't think of a specific example. Like I said, I thought it was more with knuckleballers, but I know guys have had injuries before with blisters and with nails and with stuff like that shelved them. Typically, I can't think of one that was terribly serious that turned into anything more. I mean, maybe a month, which we don't have.
There's not really.
We don't have a month.
Yeah.
We do, but that's really
That's
cut
about
tight.
it, yeah.
So hopefully it's just a 2-week, maybe 3-week thing.
Ant just got in my ear, said McKenzie has an 8 ERA in his last 7 starts, Titus.
a what?
And Ant, I'll let you say.
8.26 according to what I'm looking at.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Not 4, not 5, not 6.
He need to stay where he at. Never
What's
mind.
Logan Allen's? Look up Logan Allen's real quick, and then we'll bring Bernie out here. Logan Allen, so
Sheesh.
8.26 for McKenzie, according to Ant.
Logan Allen has a 5.08 in his last 7.
Cantillo it is. Cantillo it is. All right, you guys ready to bring Bernie out?
Let's do it.
Burn it,
All right,
burn
Ant,
it.
let's get the read up and let's talk a little Browns.
This all guards read is all you, Mike.
Bernie Kosar. If you guys want some more Guardians talk, make sure you check out Adam the Bull and the Athletic Zach Meisel every Monday and Friday for your latest on the Ultimate Guardian Show. There's also an Ultimate Cavs Show. Jason and I may record something this week. Who knows? I got a few ideas. I haven't had a chance to link with Jason yet and talk about them. So we may have a Cavs Show. G. Bush off on the Brown Show this week. He is in San Diego with his family and his wife, enjoying a little rest and relaxation prior to the start of the 2024 upcoming football season. And Earl the Pearl has texted me. He is back in tomorrow and should have an Ultimate 216 show at some point this season too. So make sure you guys check out all the Ultimate shows under the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show umbrella on our YouTube channel at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with that, welcome in Bernie Kosar. What's up, Bernie? How you doing?
Hey guys, good to be with you.
We are doing well. Glad to talk some Browns with you, Bernie. We started today's show talking about Deshaun Watson and whether or not he should play against Seattle with the uncertainty of the offensive line. Bernie, in your opinion, how crucial are preseason snaps in games for a quarterback who's coming off an injury situation like Deshaun is? Does he really need those reps, or is practice enough?
I think I'm going to give you an articulate answer, but I was so mesmerized by you three and getting into the Guardians Yankees coming up that I'm trying to make a smooth transition myself as a lifelong Guardians fan here, and looking forward to this matchup here these next few days. And Jason, as I stare at your Avon.
Avon Lake.
Yeah, well, we got Avon Lake.
It's not the same.
Oh, I thought I was going to go down the Avon St. Ignatius at Brown Stadium.
Friday night. That's a big game.
The stadium there.
That's Avon is our big rival.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Not the same.
Are they the purple and yellow?
Purple and they're purple and yellow. We're maroon and gold.
Okay. Well, with high school football starting, and I'm making my debut down at the Canton McKinley Warren Harding game tomorrow or Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then looking forward to Avon St. Ignatius Friday
That'll
night.
be a good game Friday night.
I saw you running sprints.
Oh,
today?
yeah, and some of the best lines. And I'm still going to answer that Deshaun question because us QBs, at least old QBs, we want to play in preseason. We need the time. We need the timing and stuff. And in the spirit of that, still thinking I'm a young QB, I went out yesterday with the 5th and 6th graders, and I found out that as a 60-year-old man, I am proud to sit here today and tell you, Tyvus, I have not lost a step. I'm
still faster than 6th grade?
No, I'm still losing the 5th and 6th graders racing. I am the same slow speed I always have been. They timed me with an hourglass yesterday. I wasn't even in danger of tearing my Achilles. Okay, I moved so slow. And I had so much fun out with the young men last night. That was for a 5th and 6th grade team, it was their first night of pads, and this morning is their first day of school. So I was honored to be out there. Yeah, and I am really slow.
Trust me, I watched the video and I was like, even the lineman passed it.
They never paid you for your feet.
There was one super nice young man who fell on purpose to make me feel good.
That's awesome. Good for that kid.
He's a great young man.
He's going far in life.
You know, he's going to be on Bernie Kosar scholarship as long as I'm alive.
So, Bernie, back to the question. Did Deshaun need to play, or is practice reps enough for him before the season officially starts against Dallas?
Hey, each quarterback were our own person, but I needed to play. And again, that was 35 years ago. But the timing, especially coming back from the injury, not playing the end of the season, getting some confidence and stuff, I know there's real uncertainty with the offensive line right now. And it's not the cast shadows or dispersions or put up a brush fire somewhere else to make excuses for it. But that is an issue. But that's going to be an issue, it looks like, for at least the first part of the season. And it leaves yourself ripe in today's day and age for somewhat second-guessing by playing your quarterback, some maybe extended plays in the last preseason game. But I'd be asking to do that. I'd have been chomping at the bit. I needed to play some early. I think that gives you a sense of timing. I would caution, though, and this is very important in all the preseason games, and in particular the last one if you're the starting quarterback, is you don't have to show anything to the Dallas Cowboys what we're going to do. And you don't have to prove our testosterone and manhood, okay, on a preseason game. So I enjoyed just getting ready. I enjoyed going out there and running a few plays They weren't rocket science plays. They weren't plays that were going to make me necessarily look good. They were generally pretty safe plays. And I don't recommend for any player to go out there tentatively trying to avoid injury, because sometimes that brings it on. But you could absolutely make some easy type plays that aren't as dangerous. And I enjoyed getting into the flow of that, taking a few snaps, looking around the defense, and then a little bit of the crowd noise on the road. So I would recommend playing somewhat on this last game, but then I'd absolutely be really strategic to probably boring in my play calling. And I for sure wouldn't be setting up stuff that shows Dallas, and actually I'd be doing things that I know already I want to do against Dallas, and I'd be setting up formations and shifts and plays that make you think something opposite while not getting any more players hurt.
Bernie, Zach Jackson, Jason's boy, has put out this report that the Browns may be looking into trading DTR if they can find something worth it. Do you think that that's a good idea for them to trade DTR for, let's say, 5th, 6th round pick?
So, like last week, the big conversation was, how do you maybe get, with DTR and Hundley being so kind of close together and really both deserving to be on NFL rosters and stuff. But the way DTR is playing, there's like probably zero chance that he would get through waivers and get through into the practice squad and that type of situation. So with a young QB like that, who I actually really like too personally, on and off the field, the way he conducts himself, the way he works and stuff, that given, again, I'm an optimist and I want to look super positive, and when I was playing, I didn't give much, if any, thought to who the third Q was going to be, because I did not anticipate nor even consider the ramifications or possibility of me getting hurt. So Deshaun, that confidence and that belief and that single-mindedness is healthy for him and the team to think that he's going to be the guy. But you almost like last year, you have to prepare if you're Andrew Berry in the organization. And DTR, I like him, and it's hard to find somebody that, he came in and as last year, and we won the Steeler game, and it was minimal offense, but he had a nice 2-minute drill at the end of games when most people buckle. I know I made a big jump from my first year to the second year, so I actually think that this would be something that I would really think long and hard about before I did that.
Sounds like you want to keep him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I like what he's learning. He's a sponge. And now to have like Jameis Winston in there talking to him, Ken Dorsey, Deshaun, younger quarterback that knows that he needs to learn and grow. And then I like the snap on his arm, the zip of the velocity, the spiral that he's throwing, the quick release.
But Bernie, when you look at his situation, knowing that Deshaun's under contract for 3 more years, he'll never – don't you think he almost should want to go somewhere where he has a more opportunity to become the starter? Because if Deshaun's here for 3 years, his contract is for 3 years. If he has to sit behind Deshaun, he'll never be the starter.
Yeah, that's from a player standpoint. I think that maybe you have to sometimes think like stuff like that. I actually like him so much, and it's not like I talk to him every day or see him every day, but like from what I see of him, I actually think he likes being here so much, and he likes the guys he's around, and he's growing as a quarterback and a person here. And good football players and good organizations and good coaches really get you to only think in the now, like what am I doing today, and not really thinking in the longer term. And that's not necessarily healthy for you. You should probably think in the longer term. But I do think that DTR, from a team standpoint, is thinking more in just the short run of what he could do here to make the team and get better every day. And it's working because he's getting better every day. And it reminds me of kind of this Howard Snellenberger, Jimmy Johnson line where they say, you never stay the same. You get better or worse every day.
Yeah.
And I see a young man like that, he was a pro quarterback, and now each day he's becoming a little better pro quarterback.
Bert, you go first.
Go ahead.
How much of an impact does it have on a quarterback's confidence or mindset when there are questions about the offensive line? If you don't fully trust the guys in front of you to protect you and give you the time necessary, how does that play mind games with the quarterback and his processing and decision making?
So it does. It does. And, I'm thinking here, Jace, I'm looking over at you and I'm thinking, like, if I was in front of you as a press conference in and around my locker and I was the quarterback and stuff, and, I would say it doesn't bother me. And when I played, it really didn't bother me, okay? And you'd maybe say to me on another subject, oh, but you're compartmentalizing, or you're just trying to think positively a certain way, or you're just trying to create something in your head. Absolutely, I am. Absolutely. Because you don't want that demon in your head, that self-doubt. So even if it's F&E, false enthusiasm, a little fake, belief in yourself, or compartmentalizing, and again, I'm somewhat closer to the spectrum where you could just block out certain noises and certain things. Easier said than done, but blocking out that I'm concerned about the line, okay? And that's partly why I'm so injured at this stage of my life, okay? But to be successful in the moment, to get the throw off, you can't be cognizant or considerate of the ramifications of getting decapitated, and unfortunately that's a possibility right now with some of the injuries.
When you have the injuries that they've had, do you ever, as the quarterback,
say it like
it was a very eloquently worded answer, Bernie. Like,
I guess my health and wellness program's working. My brain is coming back. I don't chew my words anymore. I say them.
Oh, shoot, that's funny. When you have the injuries, though, that this line has had, and as the quarterback, is it ever your job to go to them and say, what can I do to help you? Or is it always their job to come to you and say, what do I have to do to help you?
All right, God, that's a great question. I could go on a homily here, but this is what got me in some trouble with some of my coaches. But it's absolutely what I loved about my University of Miami old school background with Coach Snellenberger, Don Shula, and Jimmy Johnson, was you assumed that the coaching staff and the system took care of that. But you were groomed what it was supposed to be and how it was supposed to be taken care of. And in the Kevin Stefanski offense, it's very cognizant of pass protection. And I absolutely love how we could block 6, 7, 8 guys at a time. And early in his regime here, we had excessive amounts of tight ends. And I shouldn't even use the word excessive because I love multiple tight end sets. So I would, though, be in a nice way, because I don't want to stunt the line's confidence. I don't want to stunt the team's confidence. I don't want to stunt the receiver's confidence in my belief in the offensive line, because then they hasten their routes and don't properly work you DBs enough. Don't get their depth. Don't press your technique, because they're concerned, because I'm concerned, because the O-line possibly isn't blocking. So that sets off a domino. Then your DBs, you pick up on that. We're not pressing your technique. We're running our route short, and you're squatting on us from that perspective. So, I would absolutely be coming up with formations and personnel groups, and that's kind of what I was alluding to in the Seattle game. You could start putting some personnel groups and formations out there to show that you're going to have not free edge rushing defensive ends. And I would absolutely have tight ends in and around my left tackle in particular right now, because that's my blind side and stuff. And I said it last week, and I believe in this a lot. I whammed the death out of defensive linemen blocking, and my backs are in the backfield, and they chip, kids, you should be in school, but we chip the hell out of the defensive ends.
Yeah.
Okay, and now it's 3 guys hitting one, and then you just got to make them think like that, and you got to make them hurt early in the game.
Am I crazy to think that we're going to be right back to 12 and 13 personnel in this offense? Like, we've spent the whole, like, they're revamping the offense. They're pulling this whole thing apart. They brought in Ken Dorsey. They're going to go to more of a spread. Deshaun wants to play out of the 11. In the back of my head, I'm like, they're going to wind up in 12 and 13 personnel. Like, it's just inevitable with the way that Kevin likes to call it and with some of the problems that they've had up front. You're going to see Nick Harris and Michael Dunn in there as extra blockers, and it's going to be the same way it was. Part of me just can't escape that thought.
Well, and Jason, is that bad a thought?
It's not.
It was really successful. We had fun.
I was
I'm
against
chuckling, too.
I was against blowing it up in the first place. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
got to the playoffs with 4 different quarterbacks.
And it could be a hedge / an insurance policy against that, against injuries and against those type of issues if they keep manifesting itself like it did in the first 2 preseason games. From that, I actually think, and this is just me guessing and just kind of watching stuff, and then knowing some of the guys over the years. And I don't want to give away because I know also the Dallas guys and the people watch some of the stuff we say or I say sometimes. But if you watch what I think's going to happen and what I would be doing and what I did do in my spread offenses, my third down packages, my shotgun stuff, where I have 3 and 4 receivers out there, was you kind of got gimmicky, and you was able to try to throw real quicker throws and screens and bubbles and picks and stuff like that. So I actually could see that being a part of the spread package early, especially since we haven't shown a lot of it on film, and teams won't, the first 3 weeks of the year, teams don't have a lot of film to look at you. So you can get away with those type of trick plays. I love to save those. I don't say that demeaning. I say that with complete reverence, that you're able to save easy, safe plays. Yeah. But ultimately, you have to beat people up in the NFL football game, and you're going to probably morph back to multiple couple tight ends, multiple backs, and that's not the end of the world because we looked how successful we were with that. And we've been actually in the successful stuff down the field in the first couple preseason games. I'll go back to the Jameis Winston play action pass to Michael Woods for the 22-yard square in the first quarter of the first game. That was old school, 2 backs, tight end, play action pass, 2-man route, post inside guy, square and coming behind it, 22 yards. Yep. So if the guy runs his depth, runs his route, presses the technique, we block it, I have time, I believe that me and that route runner could beat one guy like that with proper time, and I see us kind of, having that in our back pocket.
Yeah.
Well, if you've been paying attention to the preseason, Kevin has allowed Ken and I think it was somebody else to call plays.
Tommy Reese?
I think it's Tommy Reese. He allowing them to call plays in the preseason. Do you think Kevin's doing that because he will allow them to do that in the regular season, or do you think he's doing that just to get them their feet wet?
So I think I would be doing that, like, to see, like, how you do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just see what you're going to do for that. We saw it with Coach Prefer, multiple yeyears ago with the COVID issue where all of a sudden he's the, head coach and Alex Van Pelt is the play caller. So maybe, you get a chance, yes, to get their feet wet, but also, we're all getting evaluated. Yeah. Coaches are evaluating their coaches. The GMs and owners are evaluating the coaches. Coaches should be evaluating their assistant coaches like their players. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my kind of foundational things I learned if I was going to run a team, and it's kind of why I don't exactly didn't want to get into that part. And the stuff I learned from Coach Snellenberger, Don Shula, Jimmy Johnson, the stuff that came from the great Paul Brown and the great Bear Bryant was they were harsh on their assistant coaches. Yeah. That was not a fun job. They got treated like, I don't want to swear, but that was a horrific experience, and they lived in mortal fear. Okay, so I don't believe I don't exactly know that that's the mode to go to, but there was a lot of fear there. And fear is a heck of a motivator.
Yeah, it
and as
is.
players say, we want to be comfortable, okay, but we tend to do better when we're fearful.
Jason asked Tyvus this earlier in the show in regards to Deshaun potentially playing against Seattle. And he asked Tyvus, does Deshaun need to get hit? Like, does he need to feel that first hit to kind of get himself fully comfortable back from the shoulder injury? Bernie, do you have any experience in that situation, coming back from an injury where that first hit kind of settled you in?
So it does in a real game, though. Okay, so I don't believe this is a game to go out to Seattle and let's see if I'm still a tough guy. You're a tough guy, Deshaun. You don't have to prove that to me, to anybody like that. But I've done preseason games where I knew we weren't going to throw the ball. We were just going to hand the ball off 10 times. You're going to run 10 plays. You're going to call it, and the line knew it, the team knew it, I knew it, and it was boring. We did that at home. Fans booed. Boo, it's terrible, boring. You suck. Okay. The offense is terrible. You're too boring. You're too vanilla this year. Well, we're saving it, and it was strategic. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world for Deshaun right now. If he gets hit, he feels better off it, but I don't think you need to manufacture him getting a couple hits in this preseason game. He's too important to what happens during the season, and hopefully that will happen during the season. But I just think going out there and handing the ball off, I would even say a bootleg, but sometimes the defensive ends are free on that. They're looking for that. Yeah. So you don't have to do much of anything. And let me just I'm not a spokesperson, but if it happens, and for the fans out there, let's chill out, because I would be highly recommending him to just be patient and the play calling to be just boring. Yeah. And we're going to wait up till 10 o'clock to find that out on Saturday night. So prepare ourselves.
I want to go back to what Tyvus was talking about with the play calling, different guys calling different plays. About a year ago at the owners' meetings, I was talking to a head coach, NFL head coach who calls the plays, who said the first drive of the second half is so difficult on me personally, because you're coming out at halftime, you got all these things going on. Now you got to come out with your first 3, 4, 5 plays. Was that your experience? I know the game has changed so much. Was that first drive, when you get the ball coming out of the half, is there something different about that first drive, and why would that be difficult on a play caller?
Wow, Jason, this is like I did a production meeting here beforehand. Okay.
Sorry.
That is in my master's program of teaching quarterbacks. That's what we live for, okay? As quarterbacks and guys who used to call their plays in the old days, that was all the work during the off season, all the work in game preparation for those first 10 or 12 plays that coaches like to get in the first quarter, okay? And you could spend your whole week deciphering what those 12 are, and there's a very real value to that. But Coach Snellenberger, the Don Shula, the Bear Bryant model absolutely got me ready, okay, for putting all that information in your head during the week, playing, getting ready on game day, playing the first half, doing what everything was supposed to happen. Now you know every change that happened in defense. It was before they came up with the new third quarter game plan and stuff. But you had it ready, so I was super prepared. That was the most important drive of the game. And I'm one of the guys that does not mind the term a quarterback who manages the game. I managed it, okay? And then you selectively try to kill people at the right time, okay? But you manage it. And the best way to manage it is that opening drive of the third quarter. When you get the ball, figuring out how to do something with it off of what the defense did, and then knowing what we're doing good today, okay? And then what we set up, that was really the key to our national championship at Miami in 1983, and the keys to my start to my career. My first start against the Houston Oilers at halftime, Jerry Glanville blitzed every single time on third down. We were in 4 receivers. He brought 7 people with side adjustment 100% of the time. Yeah. So at halftime, I knew that we were going to lose the game and then have to talk on Monday about what do you do when somebody blitzes you every single time. It forces you into a sight adjustment on 3rd and 8+. You know, like I'm not going to just punt every time. So I figure out, how do I bring in the tight end into the game and bring the extra back in? And okay, now we're going to block you up. Like I believe the Browns, like you said, we're gonna evolve to with the season. Yeah. And then the first drive of the third quarter, you have new stuff to take advantage of it.
Bernie, if let's say that Jack Conklin and Jed Wills aren't ready for the start of this season, do the Browns address the left tackle via trade, or do they just roll with Hudson or Affetti?
God, here's the thing with the trades right now. Is we're all short on offensive line tackles. You know, I wish they grew on trees, or I wish it was just a money issue. You know, we can go to Mr. Haslam and say, please, you know, crack open the piggy bank. And I believe he would. You know, if this was a financial,
he definitely would.
Yeah, if this is
paid everything he's asked for so far. He's
they're all in on that. So if it was a financial issue, I think it would be no problem. I just think it's a quality issue right now. And then if they step in, how much are they going to know of the system? How comfortable are they going to know with Settons and you know, those line, the Coach Callahan line and with Coach Andy now, it's, even though it's 5 guys, you know, they all kind of work in unison and stuff. And I think kind of bringing in a guy right now, you know, unless, you know, somehow Brandon Ayuk's trade turns into their left tackle, Trent, you know.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
You know, if there's really Christmas out there, you know, I could send Trent here.
Bernie, last question. We got to get the Super Chats, but which member of the Browns receiving crop right now do you think you would have had the best chemistry with if they were playing back when you were playing for the Browns?
So I want to act like I'm really putting a lot of thought into this, which I am out of respect, you know, to the guys on the team.
But you already know the answer.
But man, like I love tight ends, and this isn't a University of Miami thing.
Yes, it is.
And again, our staff, our receiver staff, we got Deerfield Beach High School, we got St. Thomas Aquinas High School down there, and we got David Njoku from the U. But you know, whether it's Coop running those skinny posts that I believe he's meant for, the way he presses technique, but David Njoku in his size and speed and athleticism, and I just have this fixation, even as an old man here at 60 years old, I think of throwing the fade route in the red zone. And it's almost a sign of disrespect that if anybody, again, on David Njoku and me and any quarterback, at that size, speed, athleticism, the way those hands are, I'd be throwing them fades all day long down there, all day.
I know we got to go, but 30 seconds. Number one, well, first of all, team dome or team renovate? Which are you?
Wow, I am so, and it's not being on the fence. As an old school guy I said it last week on the show, you know, I didn't wear a mouthpiece. Kids, wear a mouthpiece out there. But most of my back teeth are in the field. They're in the landfill down there in the, you know, down on the stadium. I mean, we're going to leave that for excavators here, you know, for generations to come. So I feel like my body parts are there, my heart, you know, the emotion of being there. I just love that so much, you know, being at the old stadium. And then just selfishly, it's so hard to play there with the wind. I had to do it, okay? I want to see everybody else. The pain and misery of Saturday night or coming down and seeing that flag blowing at full mask and knowing you're screwed. You better have your quick game going. But from the Brook Park side of it, the Dome side of it, you know, there's the history, tradition, the old school. I mean, I feel like that's my house down there. So then part of me can't be okay with anything else. But then I look at a Dome, I think of a Super Bowl, I think of us, I see what SoFi is like out in LA. I see what Jerry did in Jerry's down in Dallas and stuff. We could be the cutting edge. I mean, the renderings, my daughter's an architect, and the renderings that the architects did for this is beyond special. We could make not just our city, our state
How's your health? Where are you with your health? Are you good?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not just saying this to say it. I know we're up against the clock.
Yeah.
But this is the best I've felt, and for me to be coming back this quick and to hopefully have the liver be regenerating to the point where if this article didn't come out or I didn't talk about it, I think it'd be hard pressed to know that I'm going through some of these challenges and stuff. And the more I keep doing this holistic functional medicine, this lifestyle with food as our medicine, I mean, even talking today, not to fish for a compliment, but to be able to spin out a few words and jokes and actually answer stuff that's intelligently said.
Yeah,
it was hard to do.
We couldn't let you go without at least getting an update and seeing where you're at.
And we got 2 super chats. What's up?
Yeah, so Double K Creative, this one's for you, Mike. He wants to know, when will Aditi be back on?
She starts her regular weekly appearances next week, I believe.
Is that Tuesdays, right?
She's on every Tuesday during the season, yep.
Oh, I'll see her.
And then Lance Kennedy, and I want to preface this by, I'm reading this word for word.
Oh, boy.
Nothing has been changed.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
What should we do if Watson is cheeks this season?
Look for a quarterback next year.
Start planning an exit strategy.
Unfortunately, it is the reality of the business, and
Cheeks is bad, right?
Yes.
Cheeks
is bad.
like booty, ass.
You know what's fun is I try and embarrass my kids and talk like my kids. It horrifies them.
I can imagine. I can't even picture that. I don't want to picture that.
Bussin', Riz.
We'll see you on overtime.
Cap. That's no cap. That's no cap. We're bussing.
Mike, we still have 60 seconds.
Oh, we got a minute. I was saying 58. That's how.
Skibbity.
Skibbity? I don't even know that one.
That's too young even for me.
I don't know the skibbity.
Do you know how to
You on
use
the
the
phone?
word camp in a sentence?
I'll read it. Listen to
Camp?
a voice of it.
Yeah, Bree's little sister has tried to teach me, and I just can't.
No, I don't.
I got nothing.
I don't know.
No cap.
My daughter's horrified when her friends come over and I say, "Hey, am I the drip king?" I was told I'm the drip king. Do I look like the drip king to you? How much Riz do I have? And she's like, "Oh my God, Dad, leave the room! What are you doing to me? I can never go to school again."
You like to embarrass your kids.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's the whole reason you have kids is to make them work for you and then embarrass them.
I do that. I like to embarrass my wife. I like to do things goofy to her in public.
Well, Bernie, thank you for coming in. A pleasure as always. We'll see
How
you,
am I
Bernie.
the divorced one in this case? Sorry about that, Mike.
We'll see Bernie every week during the football season, too. Bernie, thank you as always. We'll see you in overtime. Peace.